It started.
Okay, good.
Unplug this just to make sure it doesn't interfere. I don't think it matters though.
Okay, well, it looks like our thing is working. Our speaker is working.
All right. Ready?
I guess so.
Aim.
Yeah, that's the trick. Aim.
Fire.
All right. Kind of aim.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome to yet another stream. This one to officially announce Ifeyo's adventure as our next game.
Sneak preview is what I'm calling it.
Okay, well, we're officially announcing that it's the next game. I will say that. So, yes, welcome again. We'll have another... Oh, I see you brought it up. Oh, we can see how bad we look. Okay.
We look wonderful. Okay, I was just going to come over here and say... Oh, no, not here. There.
There.
Over here. Boom.
Oh, okay, and advertise our stream? Okay.
Over on the Discord.
I'm so excited to hear it's official. Well, I am.
Well, official. We've been working on it for 2 years. So.
Yeah. We've been working on it almost as long as Tilly's Tale.
Yeah. I mean, basically, JP finished all the art for Tilly's Tale a couple years ago, and Lori started him off on Ifeyo's adventure.
Well, we were initially having them at the same time, since they were going to be the same game. And so, therefore, a lot of the art was already done. And now we're differentiating them more than we did initially, yes. I've been enjoying Tilly's Tale. I know you've been working on it, but an official announcement is nice to hear. Well, we're glad. Congratulations on the release. Thank you. Yes, it's about time.
I'm glad you like Tilly's Tale.
Yes.
We weren't quite sure, it's every time we do a game, it's experimental. People loved, Quest for Glory, basically we were told by Sierra and various other industry pundits that what we're doing was impossible. You can't do both a role-playing game and an adventure game.
Well,
No, we were told that the game would never sell.
We weren't told initially, because if Ken Williams believed that, we wouldn't have been at Sierra.
Ken Williams hired us to make an Ultima clone.
Correct.
He wanted a role-playing game.
Yes, but he did not know that an adventure role-playing would not sell, because he would not have gone along with it. And he could have canceled it at any time. So, yes, we didn't hear that.
Many people said that it would not sell.
Only at the end.
And that adventure gamers all hated role-playing games. That role-playing gamers all hated
That actually came much
games.
later, though. That dichotomy between the two things.
Really?
Yes. So, and it became serious because there were more role-playing games.
You need to get taller.
I know. I was thinking I need to put a pillow on this thing, and that'll get me taller. So I will do that.
Or, stretching exercises.
I'm not stretching that high.
We can put you in a Procrustean bed.
Yeah.
And anyway, then after we had heard that Quest for Glory would never work, people loved Quest for Glory, and when we announced Hero U, they said, we don't want a new game, we want another Quest for Glory.
Yes.
And then...
And of course we were doing things totally different with Road to Redemption, too.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Hero U, Road
I know, but I meant we're doing things different from...
Well, I'm not getting to that. I'm getting to that.
I can talk too! Yeah? You can't always lecture. So my point was that here we were creating a different kind of adventure role-playing game, which was fixating on one character, and that was very different. So we were reinventing how we created games with that one too.
Well, even at Sierra, we had to recreate the process every game.
Yeah. An early Happy Easter! Yes, Happy Easter to you all. I hope you have a great weekend.
Now, I guess we're halfway in between Good Friday and Easter Sunday.
Exactly. And it's a lovely day out.
Saturday, I don't know, does today have a name?
Saturday.
Easter Saturday?
No, I don't think so. It was Maundy Thursday and Ash Wednesday and okay, Saturday.
And back to work Monday.
Yeah, back to work Monday, yeah.
So anyway, after we did Hero U, we got feedback from a lot of fans that they liked it even better than Quest for Glory, and it's like we weren't really expecting that. We were hoping to be almost as good. So
Speak for yourself. I was hoping that people would love it just as much. I mean, that's the whole point of making
they
it.
did, but it took a while.
Yeah, it did. It took a while
At first
to realize
it was like,
it.
this isn't Quest for Glory.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Discount Chocolate Monday? Mm.
Hey, that's a good one. Yeah, it beats the work day Monday, yes.
Well, Lori's bereft right now. We ran out of chai to put in her tea.
Yeah. So let's see. And then, Tilly's Tale is just a different, this whole visual novel, although we did initially start to do the whole Hero U games as a visual novel.
Yeah, they were, we went through a lot of passes on it.
As a not-so-visual novel.
Yeah, at one point, Bob Heitman, who was my manager at Sierra, and then we were talking with again, said, you should do this as a web browser-based game.
Yeah.
And he built us a little prototype for that and an editor, and Lori found it too restrictive. Didn't have enough ability to make the kind of games she wanted to make. So tried that as an experiment and set it aside.
And we tried the all-text adventure as an experiment and set that aside. And used Inform 6 and then Inform 7. Inform 7 promised that we could, just write it in, natural language, and they lied. Yeah. So, yes, it's not like all this time we hadn't been trying to do games. Tilly's Tale and this style of game is easy to put together.
Oh, that's interesting. Eden says that PC Gamer for a while would have a monthly article that would focus or feature RPG and or adventure games that were lumped together.
Yeah, PC Gamer was the magazine at the time, too. Everybody read that if they liked games.
Computer Gaming World was the one when we were doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
PC Gamer's still going strong and did a great article on Tilly's Tale, an interview with us a few weeks ago. So.
Wasn't that Australian version, or is it out
it was out of Australia, but I think it's on all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have arrived. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. You didn't miss anything, really. Just our introductions and that. And the introductions to Ifeyo's game.
Which we haven't made yet.
Well, we did mention it.
We mentioned it, yes.
Yes.
So anyway, Tilly's Tale is just out. It's available on Steam and on itch.io. And it's, I think Lori was originally inspired by Dream Daddy, of all things, and then decided, she didn't really want to make a dating sim.
Well, it could have been a dating sim, but we couldn't go there, so.
Or chose not to. And then looked at My Magical Diary and stuff like that.
Well, we had played those games long before.
Yeah.
Dream Daddy. I mean, I had played some of those. The Hanoki, is that what it was? The company Honoka games out of Japan were always very interesting, and so I played a lot of those. And so I thought it would be relatively easy to take that. Yes, well, relatively easy.
Relatively it is.
Yes, easy, not at all. Yes,
So.
Writing in natural language is such an old idea and has repeatedly not panned out, and it's given us such abominations as COBOL.
Hey, a lot of companies did a lot of software for a long time on COBOL.
Did you learn it?
Yeah, I learned COBOL in high school.
Ah, see, that's how long it's been around.
I went to a summer off-site thing that taught me COBOL.
Even a simple Hello World program still took up an entire page.
Identification division. Yeah, I remember doing all that. I just did it for a summer, basically. But now Snowball. Snowball is a fun language. I used that in college.
Yeah. Murdoch Tapus says, your ability to change direction and innovate shows that you have stories to tell and will always find a way to tell them. That is very true. I have a lot of stories to tell, and a lot of them about Hero U still.
And we can change direction even in the course of one stream.
We can, yes. We have no problem changing direction. And no lack of ideas. It's trying to actually get them into something other than an idea state that's the tough part.
Yeah, we kind of heard that from Ken and Roberta with the Colossal Cave Adventure. Ken was basically doing a thing with trying to learn some Unity, and Roberta suggested, well, why don't you make a version of Colossal Cave Adventure? And that was a great game. And then as soon as she saw it, she said, well, yeah, but that's not really good enough. And they ended up spending a couple years and a couple $1 million polishing it and making it fancy. So you can always do those games. You just at some point have to say it's done. But until then, you can spend infinite amounts of time and money refining it.
No, that's true of any game, especially now, since we have the ability to, oh my God, there's a bug, let's get it fixed, and have it out to the people that are playing it right away. So this is all good.
Yeah, even with Summer Days Tilly's Tale, we got it out there, and I was a little concerned that we'd done quite a bit of beta testing on it, but whether it was really enough.
Well,
and we immediately ended up doing a day 0 and day 1 patch on it.
Yep.
And then a couple weeks later, we now have Steam achievements, which we had always meant to be in there, and we just sort of forgot about it for a while.
And the fact that it was loading all the sounds at the same time initially and running out of memory, these things should have been obvious if somebody had only, had problems with it.
Modern
Nobody
computers
did, yeah.
Modern computers have infinite space, right?
Right, clearly, because nobody ran into those problems initially. And so you have to get it out to a wider audience to actually find some of these things or even know they're there, yes.
Yeah, Sierra, when we were loading stuff off floppy disks, we really had to think about resources and, first of all, what went on each disk and how many things we had to repeat from disk to disk for people that didn't have hard drives and were, literally playing it off the floppies.
But those you knew what to test for, though, because that was such an obvious problem.
Sometimes, but there were always bugs where you would have one resource that you needed that you forgot to put in that particular floppy.
So Edenway says, the first book I picked up on COBOL was as old as I was. It discussed tape drives. Fun with ancient technology.
So actually, since I was off on Colossal Cave anyway, I first played it on a teletype at UCLA Computing Center where they were showing off. They were having an open house there during college. And then a couple years later, or a year later, I guess, I was working a summer job up in, that turned into a full year up in Canada.
And that used tape drive, didn't it?
And so I discovered that someone had ported Colossal Cave to the GX system. What was it called? It was called OPL, Our Programming Language. Then they went to ZOPL, the final version of Our Programming Language, and then to ZOPL-Z, or ZOPL-Z, actually, in Canada. The final version of the final version of OPL. Anyway, someone had ported Adventure to that, and I was having a great time, but I came out 1 point short. I got 349 out of 350. And but there was credits at the beginning of it, the person who had done the port. So I can't remember if I phoned him or what. We didn't have email back then, but I got in touch with him, and he said, would you like to get the source code? I said, great. So he sent me a 9-track mag tape with the source code for Colossal Cave, and I debugged the program in order to find out my missing point.
Yeah.
So that was a major game for the founding of Sierra, and also for my getting into games. So.
And it was the first quote-unquote computer game I ever played. I had played the handheld things. We played Pong and things like that on computers. That fit in your hand. I mean, and the screen was like that big, but they were still a computer game.
Anyway, so that says that I'm old as the hills because I have actually used a tape drive.
Yes, and I'm old.
And a 9-track mag tape.
And that handheld Game Boy computers,
that came way later.
That came no. I was playing a handheld computer game.
Wasn't Game Boy though. Game Boy came.
No, but I was
It
was the predecessor to those kind of handheld games, and that was in high school.
Was that the Odyssey?
No, the Odyssey system was a plug-in to the television, I think. This was literally a handheld thing, and I don't remember.
Yeah, there was something XKCD talked about one of those old ones.
Schumann says, my favorite factoid about Snowball was it was originally called Sexy, String Expression Interpreter, and the convention for running programs on punch cards at the University Computer Center was to name your program with your last name. So it was Sexy Farber, and one of the girls working at the computer said, that's what you think. So they decided to needed another name. Yeah.
Cute.
Then CD-ROMs came along, and everyone was all FMV is, yes, full motion video is the future.
Well, we went through 2 stages of CD-ROMs. The first stage was, oh my God, we got this much space. What are we going to fill it with? And the next one was,
oh my
we
God,
don't have enough space.
We don't have any space, yes.
Which is where they went to DVDs.
Let's see. Happy Easter and congratulations on getting Summer Days out. So glad to have it released by mail. By mail. Okay, yes. Thank you, Freelancer. How many people were in the quality department?
About 10 to 20.
10 to 20, I would say. It was a good group. I mean, it was serious.
They had a full room at the warehouse building.
And by game 4, was it? Yes. By game 4, they had a person put on your team concurrent to the production.
Yes,
otherwise, it was just you got the game done, and it was a month before production, and then it went into QA.
Or as intelligence departments call it, they were embedded operatives.
Embedded offer.
So they embedded their QA teams in our development team.
To sort of pre-test things, and that didn't actually do anything as far as I can tell.
So my older brother introduced me to Snowball originally. My big project with it is I made a thing that would take a deck of punch cards with all of my vinyl LPs, my vinyl records, and it would basically allow me to run jobs that I would say, find me all the jazz albums. I didn't have very much jazz, but, or whatever, or find everything by Pentangle.
Okay.
So
it was an inventory system.
It was an inventory control system, for my records.
The one point I
think I put all the books in
Colossal Cave was returning the magazines, right? That's
it.
Yeah,
it was the Dwarven magazines, and it was but all it said in the comments in the code were do the right thing with the Dwarven magazines. And so it was like, well, what am I supposed to do with it? So I saw that it had that comment had to do with a location. Of course, this was, this wasn't... Okay, aside, how adventure games are made. You do not have a block of code for each scene of an adventure game. What you have is a central game loop that interprets commands, and you have data that has like a variable that says, here's where you are. And here's, and here are all, and here's a list of all the objects where you are and so on. So in the code it said basically if room equals some number, then do the right thing. So what I did is I went into the code and displayed, each time I entered a room, I displayed the room number. And when I saw that the room number matched the one that was in that code, I said, aha, this is where I'm supposed to do something with the Dwarven magazines, and oh, that makes sense. And then I was able to solve it.
Yep.
So it was just a little minor edited debug command to tell me what room I was in.
Mortuai is here, and he says, hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've been able to tune in.
Yay! Welcome!
On releasing Tilly's Tale. Hope to get to try it soon. Oh, its PC died recently, and the parts for the new one in building are still on order. Happy Easter to all. Well, I hope you get your computer together in a hurry, because it's hard to live right now without a good acting computer.
Yeah, I've mostly given up on building my own PCs. I just buy, the off-shelf ones are as good as I can build. Except the last time I bought an off-the-shelf one and got it configured wrong. So I actually could have fixed it myself, but was afraid of screwing up the OS. So I actually got somebody to install the bigger SSD I needed.
Yep.
move all the Windows system code over to it.
And anyway, says even with Blu-rays, still not enough space for some of the newest games, which are approaching 100 gig in size. Wow.
I mean, even Hero U Road to Redemption, which was, an indie game, has no voice acting, and is a small project by current industry standards, was multiple gig.
Yeah.
It was like 3.5 gig or something like that.
Sounds similar to projects I've been working on. Sometimes you have dedicated staff for a project, the QA, design, project managers, etc. And sometimes there are shared resources, but it really depends on how much someone is needed.
And the budget.
Yeah.
I mean, there are entire companies that exist to test games and report on them, and we just can't afford to hire them.
The handheld electric games you may have been thinking were Tiger LCD.
Oh yeah,
games.
I remember. Yeah, I had
My family had a
one of
few
the
of
Tiger
those.
ones. Yeah, they had like a little soccer game and such. They were really, really primitive. They were
Yeah, they were Pong level.
not even
graphics.
Pong level. They were just a few areas of the screen would light up and so on. It wasn't like complete bitmap.
I didn't have Tiger then. We had, because you could
You had a full
watch it.
bitmap?
Yeah, I had a full mid map
Yeah.
and a 2-inch by
2x3 or something
2 by
inch, yeah,
3-inch screen. Yeah.
if that.
Yeah.
My first experience with bitmap stuff was I was working on banking apps, and my father's company made computer terminals, and it was all text except for there was like a 1-inch tall strip that was a signature block. And that was bitmapped, and we went in and had overhead cameras like for animation that would scan the signature cards for banks, so that when the teller, when you went up to the teller could bring up your account and would show your signature in that block. So the teller could visually compare against a check or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember paper checks? I still write them 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah. Brainiac said, I had a few myself. Amusing having equivalents to some really good console games at the time, like Ninja Gaiden and Double Dragon. Yeah.
Nice.
I installed Elder Scrolls Online today, and it's over 100 gig.
Yeah, they must think that our hard disks or hard drives are worthless, and that we don't mind, filling up, 10% of a hard drive with one game.
At this point, they're giving you the hard drive. They just might as well sell you the hard drive with the game installed on it. I mean, there was a time where...
There was a time when they did stuff like that, yeah.
Yes. I mean, that's certainly how Myst and one of the King's Quest got distributed.
And Sierra was bundling Roland MT32s. With
how about that? Bundling a sound system.
$500 sound card, yeah. Yeah, maybe it was only a couple hundred, I don't know. But it was infinite compared to what we could afford back then.
Yep.
I had a memory there for a second, but it bounced away. Oh, just my Commodore PET. I bought a used Commodore PET from someone at the San Fernando Valley Computer Club, and it came with about a dozen games on cassettes. That was a different kind of tape.
Cassette tapes, yes.
Cassette tapes. And that actually, we got a subscription to Cursor Magazine, which was, I think, quarterly, every 3 months, came out with a cassette tape that was mailed to you, and that had half a dozen games on. And they had some actually really good games in there. They had Rat Run, which is a 3D maze game, find the cheese, so you're the rat in the maze. And Indian Poker, which is the game in which you hold a card up above your head, and the other players try to bluff you out of the game so they can win.
Because you don't know what card.
You don't know what your own card is.
Yes.
You only know what everyone else has. And that was really well done on the Cursor version. The PET, it actually had a little bit of personality. Like the granny character was always, if she was smiling, you knew she was bluffing.
So yeah, computer games have been around for a long, long time.
And some of them work really well in very little memory.
Yep. And nowadays, nobody cares that they work on a little bit of memory because they just get, bloated and bloated and bloated.
8 kilobytes of RAM.
Yep.
And it worked somehow.
So yes,
I think I have 32
Tilly's Tale
gig on this
violated
machine.
the concept of being able to work in a little tiny space, unfortunately. But it's better now, a little better.
Yeah, and during development, of course, you're working with art assets and such as much larger than the final thing that you put in the game. So using Photoshop, a single file that might be
Phew.
like 50K JPEG.
50K?
Yeah.
No.
As a JPEG might be.
No,
50, no?
It's 350K as
All
a
right.
JPEG now.
And how many gigabytes would that be on? Or how many? They'd get up to a gigabyte, wouldn't they, on Photoshop files?
Yeah, Photoshop's files
Yeah.
themselves get
PSD
huge.
files are gigantic.
Yeah.
And so we actually end up with multiple terabytes of data in order to
Yeah.
come up with.
I mean, when JP is working on, say, a panorama for a full screen, he's literally working on something that's like 3,500, or whatever multiple of a screen size is times 3. He's working huge, and that's how he can get the level of detail and get things looking so nicely. They are absolutely huge. You trying to actually see something?
Yeah, I was trying to. Okay, here's GitHub. Here was. I got Hero U and Road to Redemption Pass. Not sure which is which.
Okay.
Well, there's nothing in that one.
Well, I guess that is easier to tell. I don't know what you're...
Okay, so I'm just looking at my GitHub for
GitHub for Road to
It's
Redemption?
20 gigabytes, so not too bad.
Well, try Summer Days now. What is
Summer Days should be smaller, right?
In theory, yes. It doesn't have all that junk there. But even
So anyway, we decided that Hero U was way too big a project. We had to do small projects that were a fraction that size. That was going to be the Summer Days. Summer Days is 13 gig.
Yeah, it's a tiny game.
Yeah, it is slightly smaller than Hero U. Playtime is much faster. Okay, Hero U has 50 game days, and Tilly's Tale has 12 game days.
Yes, but the idea is that
So it's
12 times 5, though. Because if you play out all of the different
Oh, well,
characters.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's
therefore-
replayable, but one playthrough
Yeah, I know. But
you can do a playthrough in 1 to 2 hours,
yes,
I think.
and that was the whole idea, is to make it, digestible, entertaining, and yet you still had plenty of more gameplay to go through. Yes.
Playthrough of Road to Redemption is, I think, 25 hours on average.
Yeah.
So, maybe a little too big.
Yeah.
We actually heard a story about Japanese games, and that they were designed for people to be able to play on the train while they're commuting to work, or for teenagers to, after they'd done all their homework, they had about an hour before bedtime.
They had an hour to play, yes.
So they were designed to be satisfying experience in a 1 hour block.
And so, yes, we worked with that kind of premise, is that you've got good points, break points, that you can stop playing and pick it up later, because on the grounds that, otherwise it's like reading a book and you have to read to the end, in my case. Or watching a Netflix series and you just get started and you have to watch the entire thing in one sitting. That kind of thing. Yet, even though those have discrete places where you could turn it off, there's always somebody like me.
Yeah, Heroes of Might and Magic, I could have saved after every turn, but every turn made me want to play another turn.
Yeah.
Wizardry was another one of those games that, it's basically...
get you started.
We'd stay up till 4 a.m. or whatever playing it.
Right. Yep. I recently found my original Game Boy, and that's very exciting. It still had one of my favorite games on it, the Final Fantasy Adventure.
Ah.
And Brainiac says, I think mine is still around, though I know my old Game Boy Advanced, Advanced?
Well, I want to know if you have the most important Game Boy game, which was Barbie's Fashion Pack.
Yes.
Because I worked on that one. I did the lipstick shooter in Barbie's Fashion Pack.
Yep. Let's see. Still have a few playthroughs of Redemption to finish. I tend to see every elective class. Yes,
okay, and you have to do it. Remember, there's two sessions of electives.
Sessions, yeah.
And it makes a difference whether you take 1 or 2 sessions of a given elective.
Yeah, you really want to take both sections because the second half is the advanced.
So you've got 3 electives. They all have an advanced class.
All electives give you an advantage.
Okay, so you can go with magic and science, magic and first aid, magic and magic.
Yes.
First aid, science and first aid.
That can be done mathematically,
So there's 6 combinations.
Could be. Magic, 3, first aid, and of course 4. Science. Yes, indeed. Hello.
7. There's seven combinations.
Ibelzar. Yes. Tilly's Tale feels like Hero U, just with a quick summer semester, and that's exactly what I'm trying to accomplish there.
Yay! She did it.
It is. It's a fast. It's just one little short summer session, and it's got to be exciting enough that it's worth playing.
And it's especially fun if you either play Rogue Redemption and then Tilly's Tale, or if you play Tilly's Tale and then Rogue Redemption, because Tilly's Tale actually takes place in the summer session before Sean O'Connor shows up at the university.
And you get a feeling why Turk has it in for the Rogues class after.
Yeah, Tilly has set him up nicely.
Yes.
So Tilly is probably responsible for a lot of the problems Sean has.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just Turk's a jerk.
Turk is a jerk, but it was acerbated by having Tilly there, honestly. Did not have the Barbie game. I suppose it doesn't have the Barbie movie either, which is just coming out now, yeah.
Well, one of the really fun ones in Barbie's Fashion Pack, I didn't work on it, but it was coat hangers, old-fashioned wire coat hangers, and you could flip them. So you had either 2 or 4 orientations of the coat hangers, and you were basically trying to traverse a maze of coat hangers.
I see.
It was actually really fun.
Huh, weird. Yes, afraid not, but did have classic Barbie virtual coloring book PC game.
Oh, there we go.
It was for my sister, and I wound up with it when the folks cleared out all their old PC boxes.
Well, there was the whole series of Nancy Drew games that Stuart Mulder, who was one of our producers at Sierra, helped develop with Her Interactive, I think.
Yes, let's see.
And our friend Gano Hain, of course, that worked in the Writer's Ghetto along with Jane Jensen and was co-author of EcoQuest.
Tilly's not getting nearly enough trouble. So far, only about 3/4 the way through. No, she really isn't getting in as much trouble as she normally would. I mean, she has to be focused on getting this stupid festival out, despite her own,
Focus maybe is too strong a term.
Well, yes.
Focus is about as well as I do, which is not at all.
It's still engaging, yes. As far as I can tell, the only combinations that matter in terms of unique content are choosing one of the double electives or choosing magic and science or science and magic to get the entire relationship screen filled. Probably. Yes, exactly. That gets you the whole set.
Yeah, because you get Moira whether or not you take the first aid class.
So if you're a completionist, yes, that's the right way to do it. But the double electives gives you the really cool bonus item at the end of the second elective. And so it's special. So you need a magic, a science, a first aid, and a magic science or science magic. Yes, exactly.
Okay, I guess that's a good point because doing magic first aid or first aid science, whatever, you're going to get the same first aid classes you would have gotten in the first
Right,
aid.
Yes, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so you're right. So
yeah, those are the significant ones.
Yeah, so
to get your full unique experiences, you need to play it that many times. Yeah.
So 3 will get you all of the basic classes and all the advanced classes, and the 4th one just for the relationships.
Right. Nancy Drew books were a staple of my childhood and started my love of mystery genres. I certainly read a few Nancy Drew books, but I found them a little bit too boring. I preferred the Hardy Boys in writing in some cases, although they were often written by the same person. And I had a couple of other ones that I really liked, but
Rick Brandt was the series
never
that I really
saw
liked.
Rick Brandt.
Yeah, those were more science oriented. Yeah, I read most of the Hardy Boy books. I read quite a few of the Nancy Drews. The other one that was popular at the time was the Bobbsey twins, which made me barf. Could not stand the Bobbsey twins.
Okay. Trixie Belden. Trixie Belden I
Nope.
read. I much
I did not
preferred
read those.
Trixie Belden to... they were a different writing style than the Nancy Drew or Hardy Boy. So all of the big Trixie Belden.
Well, the two especially memorable Rick Brandt ones to me, I don't remember the titles, but one of them was they were going down to Mexico, and of course they were always, looking for mysteries wherever they went, and this person, very intense person, comes up to them in the, at the, I guess, airplane terminals, something at the airport, and says, "I have a warning for you." And they're like, "A warning?" And he says, "Whatever you do, do not drink the coffee black." Mexican coffee is not designed to be drunk black, so kept that in mind my whole life. But the other one was the hot sauce. It is very hot, and don't try to drink water. Eat some tortillas or eat some bread to help you with the spices.
There was a series.
Valuable life advice.
Yes, I read as a kid, like something in the Mummy's Curse, and it wasn't about Egyptian mummies. It was about a mummified body in South America, in Peru or something, and they were archaeologist kids going up there, and I really enjoyed that one. Encyclopedia Brown, I really enjoyed, and of course we read all the Sherlock Holmes stories. Yes. I grew up on Hardy Boy's case files, which weren't in the original books. Yes, The Three Investigators were some other good mystery type books. Yeah.
Well, the other Rick Brandt one that became meaningful later was there was one where diplomats were suffering brain damage and having cerebral hemorrhages. That's always such a great phrase.
In a kid's book, yeah.
Yeah, in a kid's book. And it eventually turned out that it was a hairdresser. They were going to a hairdresser, and that the hair drying machines they were putting him in had the thing in that was scrambling their brains. And then years later, we heard about the sonic attacks on diplomats in Cuba, and what was the other one? Was in China?
Yeah, it was in
Hong Kong, something
places.
like that. So that immediately made me think back to those books that said, I know how they're being attacked.
Yeah.
It's the hair dryers.
Right, yes. The hair dryers that were these huge things that moved over your head like a spacesuit.
Yeah, beauty parlors did that for women. Not very many men did that. But
yeah.
For some reason, the men were...
Yeah. I'm also still planning to poke around a bit and try to see if I can discover how I managed to respawn the God King and the boss Wraith a few times in a single playthrough. And any other bosses that could be duplicated, especially the Pirate Captain. I'd enjoy him both ways, playing him both ways in a single
Well, there was a specific problem with the... Oh, I'm sorry.
Being a zombie is no fun. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Results in a great poster, though.
Yeah.
The Wraith had a problem because we had the boss Wraith and the named Wraith, named after the backer that wanted to be the only
Wraith. The Zack Wraith, the only
and the code got a little confused about which was which.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you ended up with multiple Wraiths.
Well, not necessarily. The boss Wraith was in the dungeon that you could,
Right. You mean the regular Wraith?
The regular Wraith. And then we were going to have a major Wraith in the game, but we wound up taking that section out, and we just went with the Zack Wraith.
Yeah, so I think the Zack Wraith and the boss Wraith were essentially intended to be the same, but coded differently. I don't know about the God King wasn't a king, was he?
God Shaman or whatever.
Something like that.
The leader there, but it's a leader, yeah.
Maybe it was called God King. Anyway, so I don't know why that problem occurred, but a lot of times save and restore would leave things not the right state.
Oh yes, I remember reading many of the Three Investigators books too. Yeah, and Chiron X says that ended up being crickets in Cuba. Yeah,
Oh.
they have.
Oh, there's a Great Sonic Attack was crickets?
Yeah, they have.
Huh.
They have said. Well, recently it has been said that was a whole series of things blown out of proportion. And
just like they say about UFOs.
yes, I know.
But
Yes,
we know about Area
right,
52.
exactly. It certainly sounds like there's some disinformation going around about it. Look up. It's Wikipedia Brown and the case of the captured koala. If you want to giggle.
As opposed to Encyclopedia Brown.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, what was the other one? There was a professor something or other that had kind of like brain teaser mysteries. Like, what was his name?
For a kid's book?
For a kid's book, okay. Yeah. And the one was the one where he voluntarily let them put him in prison. The supposedly impossible to escape from prison, just to show that for an intelligent enough person can get out and went anywhere.
Okay.
And they had a thing where he was talking through the drain pipe or something like that to an accomplice on the outside. Was smuggling him stuff in by
pulling up wires,
pulling up a string through the drain pipe or something like
okay.
that. And one of the things was acid that he was using to dissolve the bars, and then tooth powder. Or he requested tooth powder, and he was using the tooth powder because it was alkaline to put around the acid so it wouldn't spread and be noticeable.
I see. Okay.
So it was really, very contrived, but, I love brain teasers as a kid. I got all the brain teaser books.
Yes, Encyclopedia Brown in the case of the pirated MP3s.
I see.
That's a little more recent one. Yeah, that's it. Yes.
What was the it's one of the brain teasers, the famous mathematician. They said when he was a child, I think it was Pascal or something like that, that they knew he was going to be brilliant, but he had one very odd behavior, is that he lived in a building that had an elevator, and he would go down in the elevator and go to school, and then when he came back from school, he lived in the 9th floor, but he would always go to the 6th floor and then walk up the stairs for the last 3 flights. And the answer, of course, was he was very short and he couldn't reach the button for the 9th
there were a
floor.
whole series of brain teaser puzzles like that. That was, like Molly lying on the floor of the building, drowned, and there was only broken glass beside her. And Molly turns out to be a fish. It's those. Yes, they were really contrived mysteries.
Or the person strangled, lying in a puddle of water on the floor, and it finally turned out to be they had hanged themselves or been hanged, standing on a large block of ice. And as the ice melted, they became hanged. I don't remember what happened to the rope, but
yeah, well. Let's see. In high school, I discovered Agatha Christie and the British cozies. I still love them. Yeah, I read a lot of the Agatha Christies, of course. Metallica thought it was Napster, but it was actually Bugs Meany. 5-Minute Mysteries. 5-Minute Mysteries, I think, was one of the commercial versions of that. I've only heard it. I only heard them orally. I never read the book on it.
Thank
you, Schumann. Thank you for subscribing.
Oh,
for
thank
18
you.
months. Yes.
Oh, by the way, I think it was Schumann that had given us the recordings of
Brainiac.
Was it Brainiac? Might have been Brainiac that gave us the recordings of the sessions that had Lori's readings.
Yes.
And we were missing one. I think we were missing number 19. And looking out on Google Drive. Mm-hmm. On Google Drive, I discovered I was actually looking for, because they said they were going to restrict the number of files you could have or something like that. And I looked at it and discovered that I had some really large ones on Google Drive. And I said, oh, we don't really need those anymore. I should move those to my hard drive and delete them from Google Drive. And it turned out that 4 of the 5 biggest ones were recording sessions of by the book, and I have the missing one.
Yay!
So
we
I
have
have them all.
everything. We have.
And then I can either just post them up to YouTube, or I can get Mouse to put his wrappers on them again.
We could probably do that ourselves. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have to-
Anyway, so yes, we will get the rest of By the Book up on
Yes, in
YouTube.
case any of you
after-
were suffering from not knowing what that
yeah,
story is.
5 years ago or whenever we were doing
Yeah,
it.
really.
We left it short by 4 chapters.
Yeah. Well, we will
5.
see.
Anyway, so the rest of the book will eventually be up there because I found them
Yes.
and deleted them. So
yes, and so the theme of this one nominally is Ifeyo's game, since that's the one we'll be concentrating on now.
oh yeah, Ifeyo's adventure. All this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let's get back to the theme.
Well, only because we're down to the bottom of people yakking. So
Oh, okay.
yes,
Bitch bake.
yes, and of course we're dealing with a young man from the country of Yoruba, which is where
It's a made-up country that is approximately what?
Niger. It's all the Yoruba people which were in that central.
Yeah, it's
East,
north central.
Well,
It's west more.
more west
Yeah.
central, West Central Africa, not quite coastline.
As
And-
opposed to Quest for Glory 3, which was set in East Fracana,
yeah, which
and
was
the Maasai warriors and
right.
Kenya.
Kenya is the major place for it. Yes, so it was basically Kenya. This is more the central coast. Well, the central area, as I say, of west side of that. And so it's a very different terrain of different cultures entirely from Yoruba. I mean, from the Swahili / Simbani people. And so we'll get to explore again somebody's culture a bit and their way of life.
So what is life like in Ruba?
He actually lives in a city. He doesn't live in a town. He lives in something that's not unlike Tarna in some ways, large-scale buildings and things like that. But his is a very
No lion tars.
no lion tars. No, the lions are not in this area. They do have some hyena men around there. They do have some leopard men around there. I don't mean the leopard men. I mean the other kind of leopard men. Whatever they are, a cat-based humanoid.
Not the same as the spellcasting
Not the
leopards.
spellcasting leopard men. But they have a whole different ecosystem around there. Freelancer just subscribed. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Freelancer.
Yes. But mostly we're going to see his view of the other students at school, because he's got a whole different set of cast of characters that are very different from Tilly's Tale. When I was allocating out who gets what, Tilly wound up with the more interesting characters, i.e. got the Kata and got the Centaur and got the Minotaur, and poor Ifeyo wound up with mostly humans. But they all have their different, backgrounds, and yes, exactly. So yeah.
I'm not showing them this, but I should.
Oh, you could. Yeah, I mean, you might as well.
Okay,
that
so if we went
it's
to our
got a-
desktop, my screensaver there,
Yeah.
wallpaper has the cast of Ifeyo's Adventure.
Right. It is a diverse cast. It comes from all over, from the equivalent of China to the equivalent of Russia and England and
But they're all human or human-like.
Italian, and yes, and Greek, and Somalia. So we've got a wide range of characters, and it'll be an interesting game. Cheers to the heroes! Yay!
And the healers. Chills to the healers.
Chills to the heroes.
Oh, it's on break. I didn't put it on break.
I didn't know that. But it was a screen.
It was a screen. I was actually going to say, if I switch the screens, I wouldn't have all those icons going.
Yes, you could have if you could have switched over to that screen, which did not have them. Oh.
Probably could.
So at any rate, yes, we'll have a whole different adventure, a whole different type of characters that you're interacting with, but the same idea of trying to make it through this summer session that comes just after Sean's game, and succeed with the Harvest Festival again.
Yeah, so the general idea of the Summer Daze games is they're visual novels, which means basically that you have a story told in text, but occasionally have to make decisions on it. And the player decision kind of takes the direction of it. The other innovation that we added for Tilly's Tale is the map, interior and exterior maps, of the university, and you get to choose where you're going in the map each time.
Yes.
So the idea was to do something like an adventure game, but instead of having the little character walking around and going from location to location,
it's a shortcut.
We jump you there.
Yeah, it's a shortcut. So easier to animate, i.e., there's very little animation in Tilly's Tale. Much more, and more so will be in Ifeyo's Adventure. More interesting things going on. Yeah. That was a great rogue sneak you got in. Okay. So anyway,
we had a terrible time animating the rogue sneaking.
Actually, all of our walk cycles and things like that, incredibly tough.
Yeah, they're much harder than you expect.
And we had a professional company do it, and then we had to get Al Eufrazio to clean it up and that. And there's our lovely picture there. Our sophisticated animation there. Yeah. Of the water splashing.
The water cycles.
Yes, yep. And the water moving. Not true cycle, but yeah.
Do we actually have a build of Ifeyo? We might.
Well, we had one once upon a time, but I don't think it's there now.
Let me just go see whether there's one.
I don't know that there is. I mean, it does nothing in it, after all.
Phil's builds.
He hasn't done it. It would have been under Sydney.
I thought he did a version of it.
I didn't think so. At any rate, it's not there.
Here's something we're working on.
What's that? No.
This is
Tilly's Tale Execution.
No, this is a.
Okay.
This is a mini game in. How do I fire? Spacebar.
I think so, but first you have to choose what spell you're firing.
Boom.
Ah, yay!
Ha! I got one. Oh, I got to choose it after every time.
Yeah. Well, the idea was it would keep the same one. Ah, yes, you got that one. Okay, good. Can you get it? Oh, you lost it. So yes, we're going to have a magic practice game. This is how you practice your magic spells in Ifeyo's game. So again, a mini game.
Definitely needs to remember it, because otherwise it just takes
I can see
long.
something's going on the right side, which will eventually be your
frost on frost. Wait, it blew up.
Yeah, it shouldn't have. So, at any rate, this is a mini game we're going to have in Ifeyo's game.
Yeah, Fire and Fire just went right through it.
Right.
Anyway, so this is called Whiz Bang, and it's kind of a cross between Missile Command and Pong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Philip did a build of
we can come back
Ifeyo
to
Adventures, but I don't know if we have it.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter.
No. But it's a good way to practice your spells, and eventually you'll get to play against Leia, who is the other wizard in your class. So then you can have a competition between it, and Quest for Glory basically improves your spell casting, and then eventually you may need to use your spell casting. So you never know.
The stakes are a little higher in Ifeyo's Adventure than they are in Tilly's Tale. Tilly's Tale is just trying to get along and get through the session, and gets roped into doing this festival that she'd really rather not be doing.
Yeah, in Tilly's Tale you play the card game.
Yeah, we have a
The mini game card game.
instead of having a poker-like game with Poobah, we have a something like the children's card game of war with a few elements of Stratego thrown in.
It reminds me more of one of the not Yahtzee, the card game that you put down cards. I don't remember which one. So at any rate, they're
No, well,
variations.
it's not like that. No, it's not. It's more like Crazy Eights.
Crazy Eights and something like
Something
that.
like
Yeah, more than war.
Crazy Eights combined with a little bit of Stratego.
Yeah, Stratego definitely had a large influence on that. So therefore, you have a mini game to play. Yes. Audio Eric shows us Laura Bow. Yes. Speaking of these wonderful adventure games, what did you think of Return to Monkey Island?
I really haven't gotten very far into it. I enjoyed what I played of it. I did the introductory section, so the game actually kind of starts after you've done, an introductory thing, and then it gets into the backstory. And I played just a little bit of the real game, and then put it aside because other things were going on. I haven't gotten back to it, but I liked what I saw. I like the voice acting. I like the puzzles and the general feel of the thing. So I think if I ever do get back to it, I'll like it. Thimbleweed Park is another Lucas alumnus game that I bought and only played a few minutes of, if that.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Broken Age was the one that started the whole Kickstarter gaming thing. It was originally called Double Fine Adventure, and they eventually named it Broken Age. And that one I didn't enjoy as much. I played again just a few minutes of it, but playing as the boy, the computer mom was just so obnoxious that I just couldn't play it. And it's designed to be that way, but it's a tricky thing. One of Laurie's major things in reading a book is she has to identify with them and like the main character. And same thing with games. So that's one of the most important things is, your character may be a rogue, but he's not really a scoundrel. It's got to be someone that, you can say, I wouldn't mind being that person.
Or, he's got some charm. He's got something that's charming. So, but oh well.
Until he has a lot of charm.
Yes, she does. She is not perfect, but she has some charm. Yes. I was waiting on the physical release, and there has been no basic version for PC. That was rather annoying.
Was that
Return?
on Monkey Island?
Yeah, it was in Return to Monkey Island.
What do you mean by a basic version?
For the PC. Was it just...
No, it's PC. I have been on PC.
Okay.
Return to Monkey Island. What do you mean by a basic version?
Collector's edition only. Oh, okay.
Well, when you think about it, when those games first came out, they were like, $40 or $50, and that's about equivalent to $90 today. So their collector's edition is what you would have gotten a basic game for in the
bad old
80s.
days. Yes.
In the 90s.
When games were expensive. Yes, indeed. But
Quest for Glory was about $60, I think, Heroes Quest, and that was because we completely blew our budget on discs. They were used to doing games that fit on 2 or 3 discs, and we had 8 or 9 discs, and then they decided they needed to include the both the 5 1/4 and 3 1/2. So that was another 4 3.5-inch discs.
We had very expensive
that
games.
that really those discs were not cheap. That really blew the budget.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. The other thing we were going to talk about with Ifeyo's game is that.
Come on, energy.
Well,
Be energetic.
I am being energetic. But I'm trying to think of what to say, and when you do that, of course I can't think of what I was going to say. But they are, again, following the same pattern. You have to do the Harvest Festival. But there's so much else going on in this game than Tilly's game. Tilly had it easy.
Yeah,
That's what it
on
comes
the on
out.
the surface, it's the same game. It's,
Yeah.
and they actually started out as they were going to be two paths through one game.
Yes.
Ifeyo's path and Tilly's path. So they both lead up to the Harvest Festival at the end of the summer session, but Ifeyo's way of getting to there is a completely different story.
And
Yeah.
things happen differently. So you'll have, you'll really, and if you back the Kickstarter game in the first place for Tilly's Tale, you are getting Ifeyo's adventure automatically. So you will have them, and they can, think of them as something that was once one game, but they're very different now.
Well, I think the people I was planning on only giving Tilly's Tale the people that originally ordered Wizard's Way.
Yes, but the people who
But the people who
ordered
bought
Tilly's
Tilly's
Tale
We'll get
summer.
the people who ordered Summer Days get
Yes.
Summer Days, Tilly's Tale, and Summer
And
Days.
yes, so.
Ifeyo's Adventure,
Right.
if and when we finish it.
When we finish it, period. And
I just don't know when the when is.
the when is more soon.
When it's
than,
done.
Yes, sooner than what happened with Tilly's Tale. That's for certain. And then we will think about having a Kickstarter for Sammy's Story, which is again another of this style game. And I'm really looking forward to Sammy's Story because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh,
too.
Sammy's Story is going to be the best because it's got the cutest character. Let's see if I've got anything about it.
Well, you do if you have Dropbox.
Summer Days,
Oh, you're in
artwork.
Sammy's Story.
I don't see a Sammy.
Oh, okay. Well,
Is there a separate folder for it? Sammy's Story.
yes, Sammy's
There you
Story.
go. Artwork.
Uh-huh.
Characters. Haha.
Yes.
Sammy. There he goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
They all look alike pretty much, yeah. So, yes.
here is Sammy.
Yeah, all
There
of
he
them.
is. Oh, you want us to actually see the character?
I don't know. That's
let's
kind of
see.
fun. You could do
I know.
full size on that, Corey.
I think I can do view full screen.
There
we go.
Ah, that way. Yeah.
There's Sammy.
Yeah, so that'll be...
I just like the corner of his ear that.
Yeah, I know. It was like we're playing a game of unlocking what's underneath, clearly. Yeah, so...
Oh yeah. So corgis are just the ultimately cute dogs, and so having a
the mighty warrior corgi.
the mighty warrior corgi.
So we're really looking forward to doing that, and we have a lot of that artwork underway right now too, because we're it's easier to get the art going than to get this all written up and programmed.
Where'd it go? Oh, there.
What do you got?
Slack.
Slack. Okay, what are you going to show in Slack?
I'm just gonna show one of those video sequences.
I don't know what. Oh,
Not
okay.
that-
You're not
well,
going to show that
I'm
one?
not going to show that one. Am I? Should I?
Well, you could show that. Well, that's a spoiler alert, though.
That's a
It's definitely a spoiler alert.
Okay, close
Everything-
your eyes if you don't want to see the spoiler.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
I was actually going to just show him with his sword animation.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think anything's recent, so that goes back. They're going to show... You don't have to show the whole thing, but you could show...
We'll just do that still.
Okay,
We won't show the video because
this
there are
is definitely
spoilers.
spoilers alerts, yes.
But once again, you've got the
Yes.
tie-in with the festival, and he's got his little fall decorations there. But something's going on here. The sky is a little darker, a little more ominous. It's not quite the happy-go-lucky Tilly's Tale.
Yep.
So we like to raise stakes, and every game in a series. If we ever finish the Hero U series, we had a 5-game series planned for that, in which the story gets darker and heavier each time. And
Yeah.
consequences become bigger.
Yes.
And, so I guess you're doing something a little like that in
Well,
Daze
yes,
or
but
Summer Days.
since they're paralleling them, I mean, they're bookcasing each game so that Sammy's story takes place after the Wizard Way game. So they have to reflect what went on in the Hero U main game course.
Yeah, there's a parallel between the Hero U games that we're not making and the Summer
Yes.
Days games that we are making. That
Right.
Each Summer Days game is a prequel to the corresponding Hero U game. So we have Tilly's Tale is the rogue at Hero U. And curiously, when we did surveys on what game would you like to see next, we assumed that everyone would say, "Oh yeah, we want a Magic user game." Pretty good percentage, like 40% of all the people that responded wanted a sequel to Road to Redemption.
Yeah,
They
well.
wanted another game with Sean. I had to remember his name.
So we have a Tilly's Tale, which has a rogue in it, and then we have
Sean O'Connor is
Sean
Road to
O'Connor.
Redemption.
And then we have Ifeyo's game, and then we would have Wizard Way, which was, a different game.
Ifeyo was a wizard, by the way.
Yes. And then we have Sammy's story, and Sammy is the warrior, and then we would have the warrior game. And it wasn't intended to go that way, but it's how it worked out best.
That's how it came out, yep.
Yes.
So I don't think you have planned a Summer Days with a Paladin, do you?
I do, actually. I have
But at least,
I have the characters started for it, and so I have where they're going too.
Have we spent a couple $100,000 in art for it yet?
No art for that yet.
Yeah, so
we have to get done with this one first.
Summer Days is curious because, in a sense, our budget was almost half of what Hero U cost, but in another sense, a lot of that was assets for Ifeyo's adventure and Sammy's story.
Yeah.
So we're quite a ways ahead of the game on the artwork and not so far along on the writing and we're about getting ready to order the music.
Yes, we're gonna try and get the music up.
Oh, we have more comments.
Yes, we do.
Besides the purple box being one of the most beautiful game boxes, pull down the purple box.
Yeah, it's right behind.
Oop.
Purple box. There's a purple box. I thought the contrast between the purple and the monsters was a little dark, but the sides and the gold lettering is very cool. And Dr. Cranium on the side.
Dr. Granium?
Yeah, the other side.
Skull?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there he is. Side. Dr. Granium.
And then the back. So it's a very
the other
cool,
side
yes.
is Bonehead and
then
the back.
the back.
Yeah,
they
the
were
back
really
was
great characters.
Yeah,
too.
this is actually I like this. This is a nice back of a box. It's a nice clean layout. They have one large illustration with a caption, and then they have three smaller illustrations and some text.
It's a good size box. That helps. You can actually get
have
that
room to
stuff
do
on it. Yes.
But a lot of
exactly.
these get really cluttered with too
yeah.
many screenshots and.
And then of course the white box is a quarter of the size, and they had to redesign it.
It's not a quarter of the size.
Well, all right.
It is about 5% smaller.
No, that's considerably more than 5.
All right, 10%. Yeah, it's because you're not overlapping.
No, but look
Okay,
at
so there's an extra 1.5 inches. And top and bottom, there's an extra 1/2 inch.
Yeah, so it's smaller.
Yeah, it's smaller, but it's smaller by about 10%.
But then they had to redo the back.
Or 5%.
They had to redesign that back, and that's pretty clean too. I mean, look at it.
Yeah, that works.
It worked.
So we had some really good designers at Sarah over in the marketing department. All right, Belsar is looking forward to Sammy, and we'll back it.
Good.
Ken Roberta will almost certainly bring Space Venture to the end and finish up for the two. I don't really, Phantom Beaver. Do you have that much insight that you can say almost certainly? I actually discussed this with Ken, and he was saying, "Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about doing this. I'm not sure if it's a good idea." So at least when I talked to him, it was really up in the air.
Yeah, but that was early, so maybe he's.
If they approach us to help do the next project, would we consider it? Sure. What they have that we don't have is funds. They have money.
Yeah, if they're willing to fund it.
And they would take the lion's share of the profits from it, but since we get no profit from doing it the way we're doing it,
that's not really. Yes.
That's the age-old question of use a publisher or self-publish for both games and books, and you get a fraction of the money per sale on the publisher, but in theory at least, the publishers have a marketing network that is so good that they sell so many more that you come out ahead.
Unlike Sierra, Ken and Roberta are not the distributors, and they are not getting.
Yeah, that's true. They are not.
That's a difference.
Yeah, they are not Sierra Online, even though.
Yes, Sierra Online.
They were.
Yes, gave you everything, and did everything for you effectively. So.
We didn't, of course, feel that way when we worked there.
Well, yeah, but that's okay.
We felt much.
We were the
much repressed.
Left-handed stepchildren, that sort of thing.
And we later talked with Scott Murphy and Mark
yes,
Rowe,
and they felt
and we discussed.
They
we
were
discovered that they felt that they were the left-handed stepchildren to us.
Yes, so it's like,
We were like,
okay.
wait a second, you know.
Yeah.
You were one of the big three titles. We were the
Yeah.
latecomers.
Oh, yes, exactly. That was one of the best things about Hero U to me. The obvious world building and pipe laying for things that had already happened and things that were subsequently happening. I love the feeling of a dynamic, extant world. Yeah, and the thing is, it is a dynamic and extant world, and it's dynamic in the sense that the future I don't have fixed. I have events and things like that that are going to happen, but the actual games fill in the details, and so that would affect the next game. So I didn't have them laid down that tightly, even for Quest for Glory.
And of course, there's a fair amount of the games that get left on the cutting room floor, so to speak, that might be brought back if we had infinite time, which I think we have even less time than money. Then we might get to everything, but we had to cut out an entire quarter of Hero U was the Lost City. We're going to have a whole underground city.
We were going to bring that back in a later game.
Yeah, so we said we might bring that back. Also, the dungeon at the end is greatly abbreviated,
right?
Because Melanson gave us a huge design for essentially a puzzle dungeon. And we used a very small part of it
right.
in.
So we were always planning on going back to that and getting more ideas out of that and more of the stories that we had from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the purple box we were still on floppy at that point. So it's interesting that it's so thin that surprising it fit. They were able to, when we went from having 5 or 10 or 15 discs in a box to having 1 or 2 CDs or DVDs. Obviously, they didn't need the big, heavy format box. We got dinged a little bit on the box for Hero U Road to Redemption because we used a modern style box and it's pretty lightweight. Because all you need is a lightweight box if you don't have a heavy, book length manual in there and you don't have a dozen floppies.
Yeah.
But some people said, well, it just doesn't have the heft of a Sierra box. Well, for a reason. Those boxes were heavy because they had to be.
Phantom Beaver says, to follow up, Ken said it would be a 50-50 split on any sales of this space adventure.
Oh, nice. Very
That's
generous.
Very good, yeah. Yeah, so we're really hoping that comes out and is a huge success. Exactly. Everyone is the least favorite. Keeps everyone in line. Yeah, really. It's a good way of doing it.
And that's absolutely far too true, OSU. There was the attitude that all game developers are really children, and if you give them too much, you'll spoil them.
Yes. The Lost City equals the Goblin Warren. Yes. Seekers of the Lost City Part 2. Yes. Well.
So the Goblin Warren was, of course, the planned content for Heroes Quest that we got out.
Yep. The Lost City
the underground Goblin City
in Road to Redemption though got cut pretty early. It was just we were.
We got to take out a major section of the game. We don't, it's too big.
Yes, and it did not. I mean, it could tighten up the plot a lot if we didn't use it. Yes. I was fine with my Hero U box.
Well, we're really happy with it. I mean, it's got enough heft. This is a good solid box. This is the front cover, and Sean holding the keys, and then on the back, I thought this was originally done as a wraparound where we had the Gogs chasing him.
Yes, the Cogs. That is a wraparound thing.
Okay,
it does actually wrap around.
All right, so he's standing on the beach. Then on the side panel, you've got the water, and then you discover that he's standing there looking all confident, but he's about to.
The only way to get the right text, I had to basically cut it all up, and that's a shame but it printed really nicely. I love the colors that printed out of that. So.
And we got decent name credit in the front too.
Right. Well, somebody designed that box after all. Is it the Lost City or the city that gets lost, or did they make the city not lost, not to be found? The Lost City in Road to Redemption in Caligari is a city like several cities that I've heard of that have an old city, that the cities have been there forever. And they kept getting built on top of each other after there was a
I think
disaster.
somewhere in Turkey and Ankara or something like that.
Well, it was up in Seattle too. I mean, I think there's a lost underground city.
Well, Seattle has the underground part that was intentionally built with like the freeways on multiple levels.
No. This is about a city where like the city was built over itself.
Yeah.
And so there were parts underground at that point as they built up over it. And that's the kind of concept that we were having with the lost city in Caligari, is that literally that city has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it did get wrecked occasionally, but then it kept getting built over it. So there's layers of archaeology areas that are underneath that form this lost city, and so that you'll be doing some exploring into that area.
I was a little disappointed when we pulled people for colors for the yearbook for Hero U, and they chose the dark brown one. I would have liked a more vibrant color, but it came out nicely.
It looked like a yearbook to me. Yeah.
Sort of pseudo leather.
Like one of our era yearbooks, yes, before the full color things that they are today, yeah. It is a very pretty box. I was sad when the design I voted for didn't win, but in the end the result looks very lovely. Anyhow, yeah, good.
Well, JP has just been getting better and better during the course of working with us, so we are quite pleased with his work.
So we can actually, we'll really have a great look for these games. And I'm very proud of them. I mean, visually, can't complain. And I like Road to Redemption. I think it's one of the prettiest games. And the only thing I would have changed for Road to Redemption might have been how the combat system wound up playing out, but it works.
Yeah, we went through a lot of passes in the combat system. Originally, it was supposed to be a movement point or a action point system, and that just proved to be really hard to coordinate with the graphics and so on. I would have done a little more with some of the puzzles. The quirk sequence to me has just never been satisfying.
Yeah, it didn't work out as well as
we went through a lot of passes on that, and you spend these enormous amount of times. It still never quite comes out the way you envisioned it.
Right. And the nice thing with modern game development is that you can, fix some of these things. You're not locked into it as totally as you were in the old games, because you can, even after the game ships, if there's something major, you just send out the patch to everybody.
Yeah, Sierra's occasionally, they had a bulletin board that you could call into and download patches for your games, but I doubt that very high percentage of players ever use that.
And you probably needed to. I mean, look at Shadows of
the
Darkness.
original Quest for Glory 4.
Yes, the original Shadows of Darkness.
It was, it needed patching.
And let's see, what else are we doing differently with Ifeyo's adventure? Well,
there is combat in it.
There is combat. Sort of. It's pseudo combat.
We've got the whole thing with summoning his familiars.
Yes. So you have major events in Ifeyo's life.
And gives you a secondary companion character, effectively.
Right. And mysteries to solve.
So I was going to have you talk a little bit about the Reuben culture and why Ifeyo is at the university instead of staying home.
Ifeyo was always the intellectual, the one who loved to read, loved to go to school, always read to his, his mother was a weaver, and she actually would weave magical material, magical cloth, and she and her all the aunties and relatives that were women would all gather up in the middle of the day, and then they would be at this weaving stations where they would weave and they would tell stories or they would sing songs. And he spent a lot of time in the women's section taking care of his brother and reading to them then and teaching them what he had learned in class and things like that. And this is he really enjoyed that. But his father says he's a man now, and so dragged him away from his school and that, and made him work into the selling of the cloth and that in the giant bazaar that they have in the center of town. And his days of going to school were over, and he was basically miserable because he wasn't much of a he didn't fit in with his older brother, had been a good fighter and was into sports and all of this thing, and just like his father was. And Ifeyo wasn't quite that, didn't enjoy combat and didn't enjoy sports particularly, and did not enjoy having to sit in the marketplace trying to sell wares with his uncle and brother, his uncles and things. And basically he was kind of miserable until his godmother, his auntie Ifeyo, returned from teaching at Hero U, and basically said, this kid's miserable. This is my godson. He needs to go to school. He needs to go to Hero U. And she basically, browbeats her brother into letting Ifeyo come to this.
And much like an iceberg, this isn't the game.
No.
The game, that's...
You'll never see that. You'll see her that references to that, yes.
That Laurie goes through and tells these stories to herself to
right.
basically have the backstory so that she understands the characters well enough to write them.
Right. And so that's how he got here, why he got here. Every character in the game has to have a reason why and what they need and what they want. And those things...
You'll get hints of this in flashback.
You will.
And discussions, but the game is mainly the action of where he is now.
Yes.
Which is at Hero U.
And what he does here. Yes. Quite to his chagrin, because he doesn't know how to tell his parents that he's going to be a wizard. So all of these things make for the conflict in the character, and conflict makes story. You can't have a totally happy character, which Tilly is. Honestly, she's really happy, but she is lost, and she doesn't know it, because she doesn't know where she's going.
Does she really need a purpose, or
she needs to find her purpose. She needs to find her future, but she's been content all her life to, just take each day as it comes and, have fun. And so she has to learn to grow up effectively, to accept that she has to make her own future, or things will just happen to her. She cannot be passive.
And that's always the choice you have to make is, are you going to just live your life reacting to things that happen, or are you going to be proactive and decide what you're going to do?
And make them happen for you. And so Tilly has to learn that ability to think about it, think about life that way. And not be the one who just lets things come to her. And so all characters in these games have to learn to grow and to become what they really were meant to be.
Yes, this was nice when we were doing the Questlog blog, and Laurie wrote the series of articles on the women of Quest for Glory, and got a little bit, into their backstories and motivations. That it's all there implied in the game, and that's what makes the characters feel real. Is the fact that they're not just cardboard cutouts. That it's hard to write dialogue for someone that you haven't really defined.
Yeah, and it can be boring. If its character doesn't have something that they're striving for and things like that, the character's dull and it's no fun to write. You really need a character that has, a realistic world to live in, and so that's what I really work with the whole world building.
You mentioned that stories need conflict, so people need challenges. People need something that gives them a sense that they're actually doing something meaningful and important, and developing a sense of mastery at it. And in the course of these games, you're running into other characters that are essentially real people, and that have their challenges, and you get to help them with some of them.
Yeah.
So that gives the players some purpose. Phantom Beaver had said they're happy that Quest for Glory games never had the approach that some King's Quest games had, namely King's Quest V, where you basically had to call the hint line to make it through the game. I don't think a designer ever designs a game where they think that you're going to have to call the hint line.
Unless you were Al Hello, which was the theory on that. I
Well,
mean,
that was the theory,
he made
but-
the joke.
but
The joke was
joke
that he
wa-
made more money off the hint books than he did off the games.
Well, he did make more money off the hint books, but the joke was that he did that intentionally.
Yes, yeah, but it was a joke. Really, we think it was.
The thing is, it's a lot easier to design a puzzle than to solve one. And Lori and I are not terribly good adventure game players. We're not all that great at solving puzzles.
And
But we like constructing them.
philosophically against having a puzzle that players can't solve. That's the whole reason we had the Quest for Glory approach of having 4 different solutions to almost every problem, whether it was a rogue, a fighter approach. It was designed so that the player could use alternate thinking and not have to guess the designer's minds. So that was a point on our part to try to make it so players could play it.
Yeah, we tried to make them fair and make sure that all of the clues were in the game for the puzzles. And we always worried that our games would be too easy because of that.
Too easy.
And then kind of, we got taken aback when we've heard since then that our games were considered some of the most challenging, difficult.
It's like, wait
a second,
we didn't do
they're
this
easy.
Right. Yes, they were supposed to be easy. And Tilly's game is surprisingly, much harder than I expected it to ever be. Yes.
Yeah, I told her, there's a bug. I just got to the end of the game and it told me that I haven't made friends with anyone. And, well, it turns out that a casual acquaintance is not sufficient.
Yes,
you have to really make friends in order to get them to help you at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Will all puzzles eventually be solvable via cooking? I think that cooking creates its own challenges and puzzles that...
Yeah. Let's see. The
She's too
depth
good at
of world building is what sets your games apart from others. That's good. And welcome, Aziza.
I mean, everybody tries. All the game designers and writers try to make believable and good worlds, but it depends on what your approach is to that.
People don't always think things through is the problem, or that they're, they fall in love with cool stuff and cool ideas, but you have to actually have something to tie it all together.
Or they spend their time and energy on things like play balance and having combats that are perfectly balanced to be just the right difficulty and so on. And the fact that our combats are playable at all on Quest for Glory is partly a credit to the playtesters and partly luck.
Yeah, and some good programming. Good programming.
I do remember actually going through and tweaking some numbers and so
yes.
on to get things to work. And I certainly did that a lot for Hero U.
Right, to get the monsters all balanced and all different. That's it's a major part of a game is to get those numbers tweaked.
And, even tabletop gaming has the same issues.
Yes.
That you, as a game master, as a dungeon master, most generally you do not want to slaughter all of your players. That doesn't make for very satisfying games, and they don't come back to the next one. So you want to get that degree of challenge that they feel that they really had to work for it, but somehow managed to overcome it.
Yeah. So Murdoctopus says both series had really interesting combat systems. Yeah, in particular, we were going with Rogue to Redemption to have a turn-based strategy game for its combat rather than the point-and-click, fast as you can, kill the monster type of thing. So that basically the tools that you use, the traps, the things that you could throw...
healing potions
and
all... buffing spells and runes that you can get.
So that it was a thinking man's puzzle rather than an action man's puzzle type of things. Yes. I can't. Let's see. Is that
Info.
Anethel? Okay, fine. I can't read all the letters there with the.
AIN.
It's dark purple on black. So, hi Coles. Can't stay long today, but I got Tilly's Tale on release day.
Yay.
See, they started playing with real life Tilly next to me, and whose face lit up immediately and said, "It's a game all about me! Yay!"
Yay.
And she'll get to see her name all the time and get to hear it. I'm sure she's going to appreciate that.
One of the things we've heard a lot about is role models from games, and that seeing someone like yourself in a game is very empowering. So there are relatively few games with women protagonists, and we're equally guilty of that for budget reasons. We could only have one character in games. We got talked into each time into having a male character, but finally with Tilly's Tale, we have a woman as protagonist.
Yeah.
And with Sammy's story, if
all you doggies out there, you'll finally...
every dog who's playing the game will really see themselves in it.
Yes, we try to have as diverse a cast as possible, so all you doggies now have a game that you can, really relate to. But definitely, I'm so glad Tilly's going to enjoy it. I'm sure she's going to have fun seeing the character up there and laughing at things.
Yeah, Quest for Glory 3 was one of the very few games that had an African setting, and of course, Ifeyo's adventure, stars a black character from Africa or Africana that, hopefully will be a positive role model for younger players going forward.
Yeah, and the idea that anybody can be a hero, that all, we have a diverse cast, and all of those characters in this cast, whether it's Tilly's or Ifeyo's or Sammy's, all of the characters can be heroes.
Yeah, and with Sean O'Connor and Tilly, the idea that a rogue can be a hero, we actually had a lead programmer quit from Heroes Quest because he said, thieves can't be heroes.
Right, but we all have our talents and skills. Let's see, that's why I like adventure games rather than first-person shooters or arcade-style games. Yeah. Yes.
That they actually have some story.
Yeah, they are just think. Point and click, and they are thinking. Yes.
I'll tell you, World of Warcraft, with its arcade action combat, really does require some thinking to get good at it, or so I'm told, because I've never managed it.
I love that game. Tilly is spunky and mischievous and smart and flawed, just like the real one.
Well, obviously, Lori knew your Tilly and based it on her.
Modeled it, yes. All those dogs on the internet will get to play a game about their species with Sammy. Exactly, yes.
I suppose we should have gotten them to sign a release and got permission.
Oh, I don't know. Mighty Pony Girl says, I still have my 5 1/4 discs for Heroes Quest 1. Yes.
So Sheila from the D&D cartoon, which I did not see, was a heroic thief.
Huh.
The whole concept of the thief class in Dungeons & Dragons, when they added that afterwards, but it was based on like Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser and Robin Hood
and the Hobbit.
And the Hobbit.
It was based on the Hobbit because ultimately most of the early D&D stuff was all stolen from Tolkien. Yes.
Yep.
The whole idea of the
and everybody played
quest,
Hobbit thieves.
Yes, and everybody played Hobbit thieves. Yeah, right.
I'm gonna be a burglar.
Yeah. Hello, said Tripoli Bob. Hi there, and Icy Deeps. Icy Black Deeps. Actually, I always thought Overwatch missed a big merchandising opportunity by not putting the line, the world could use more heroes on a t-shirt. I agree. And I love the character. I loved Overwatch's opening cartoons and things like that. They did a wonderful job initially with making Overwatch a very fun game that I never played, honestly, because it's not my style of game, but I loved all the characters. And then when they put those characters into the game that we played, which was Heroes of the Storm, we actually got to, enjoy the Overwatch characters that we didn't get to play.
Well, Heroes of the Storm came out before Overwatch, I'm pretty sure.
No, Overwatch came out first.
Are you sure?
I think so. Overwatch is still going.
Well, yes, it's still going.
But I think that they, let's see. They pulled from,
all right, so Overwatch, multimedia, Overwatch video game, 2016.
Okay. Heroes of the Storm.
2015.
All right, fine.
So yeah, Heroes of the
They
Storm.
added the Overwatch characters
So first,
afterwards.
first they had the card game, which was
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone.
Which was
Hearthstone.
which was copied off of Magic the Gathering, which was a copy of Magic the Gathering.
And they came up Heroes of the Storm, which was stolen from League of Legends. Mm-hmm. Except League of Legends originally came, or basically the predecessors to Heroes of the Storm were tower defense games.
Yes.
And the original tower defense game was a mod to, I think, StarCraft.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it went full circle there.
Yes.
But Heroes of the Storm is a MOBA, which I can never remember what it stands for, MOBA. And we have a lot of fun with that. We play with friends.
Yeah, we still play
2 or 3 times a week.
Heroes of the Storm, although it is a dead game.
Yeah, it was Blizzard had stopped supporting it because they came out with Overwatch the following year, and in a sense, the characters they put into Heroes of the Storm were were prototypes of what they were intending to do with Overwatch.
No. They came afterwards.
Okay.
They added those characters into Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
Heroes of the Storm let you play characters from all the games, World of Warcraft and StarCraft and every game Blizzard had.
Diablo.
Yep. Diablo, yeah.
So Overwatch came out as the first person, but not exactly the same as all the Call of Duty and so on first person shooters. Has been very successful, and so that one they're continuing to support. Whereas they
Kinda.
Oh, okay. They lowering that too?
Yeah, pretty much. Blizzard has been not putting the money into these games, these secondary games.
Yeah, they instead they've been doing acquisitions, like they bought King, which is the makers of Candy Crush Saga, and that's just a license to print money for them.
Yes. Heroes of the Storm was a bit of a dry run for what Blizzard wanted to do with esports. Yes, they did want to make it esports. They wanted to be huge esports groups. And they basically dropped it after they started Overwatch League. Well, the whole thing is the esports market did not become the moneymaker that they wanted it to be. And so, yes, they could concentrate on one, and they kept going with it, but they really don't put the money into it anymore.
Yeah, and Heroes of the Storm is free. You can spend real money if you want to get boosts and stuff, but you don't really need them to play.
So you could play for free if you have a Blizzard account.
Yeah, and there are no permanent objects, armor and weapons and so on for the characters. That you start each game with your basic character, and then you acquire abilities during the course of the game, and it goes away at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So that just was not a formula for them to make millions of dollars from the
so it doesn't
in-game store.
Pay them to put the money into that.
But
even Overwatch, where you're actually paying for some Overwatch.
I don't know what you pay for Overwatch.
You have to buy this game.
Oh, do you?
Yes. You didn't have to buy Heroes of the Storm. You have to buy Overwatch. And so...
But this is kind of a caution and an answer to people that say, well, why don't you get the the license for Quest for Glory and make more Quest for Glory games? So, of course, Activision Blizzard owns those because we did those games as what they called work for hire for Sierra, which means basically that we got paid for them and that was it. They own all rights to it. And after a long series of mergers and acquisitions, Sierra ended up being owned by Activision Blizzard. So the idea of them doing a Quest for Glory, they just can't see ways of making hundreds of millions or billions of dollars on the Quest for Glory franchise, so they're not going to do it.
Yep, but they did make money. Yes. Let's see. That's a crime. Quest for Glory was the best Sierra game ever put out. Yay! We agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
At the time, we felt that Sierra had no idea of that.
Yeah.
We occasionally got some real positives, like Rick Cavan came to me he was the general manager at Sierra, and he was almost in disbelief when he told me that the initial orders for the first print run of Heroes Quest was over 100,000. and they had never gotten to that number so quickly with a game before that.
Kaveen.
Kaveen, yes, Kaveen is named after a Kevin, a villain, of course. But so we did get some positive feedback occasionally, but for the most part, we felt as though Sierra was reluctantly allowing us to make our games because, well, we'll let you do this.
and
We never had an idea until after Ken's book came out and he started talking about it. He said, "Oh yeah, the Coles, they were really great for us, and really thought that Quest for Glory games were brilliant." But we didn't hear that when we were working there.
No, yes.
Quest for Glory would make a good mobile. I thought Castle Dr. Brain would make a great mobile game.
Yeah, let's see. There are a number.
I always wanted to do a puzzle game on the handhelds.
Okay, there are a number of Sierra Games series that I would absolutely love to see more games for. Quest for Glory being among the forefront, of course. Yeah, well, they've talked over the years. I mean, and King's Quest tried that one. I mean, they tried with King's Quest to make more in the series, and that was so different. And then Activision didn't want to let anybody else use those properties, so it's never going to happen at this point, really. And Enchantress Aziza said Toby's death was beautiful, but it definitely traumatized
Spoiler!
me. Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, that is one of the great. When people ask, "Can a computer game make you cry?" That was Electronic Arts said that as a kind of marketing slogan. That scene did it for me. Interestingly, Quest for Glory 3 tends to be a little bit lower rated. But for me, Quest for Glory 3 was my favorite as a storytelling game. And a large part of that is because I didn't work on it until near the end of the game. So when I finally went through and played all the way through Quest for Glory 3, it was, I said, wow, this is just really good story.
And Brainiac says, supposedly Microsoft management is interested in the IP, so something might happen once the buyout happens. But hope springs eternal. Exactly, they actually heard something.
But we might be 80 or 90 or 100 by the time they get around to
At
that.
the time they actually
I don't think we'll be involved.
Yes. Quest for Glory would make a good mobile game. Well, maybe. Yes,
Yeah,
if
that
they
was the
can
one I
make,
commented. But
if they can make Coder for mobile, Quest for Glory should work. Yeah. I was surprised it happened because it's kind of competed with King's Quest, but Quest for Glory had more depth and was less derivative. Very original. Well, it was derivative in the sense that,
Yeah, it was derivative of our experience instead of other people's experience.
And we based it off of real world things and real mythologies and things like that. Just like King's Quest, honestly, was a thing of all that Roberta had come across in her life.
Although Roberta, had a strong fairy tale theme to the King's Quest games, and we actually saw she had a long list of every plot point, every idea from a fairy tale, and then she checked them off as she used them in the games.
Yes. Dr. Brain, Laura Bow, King's Quest, Conquests, mixed up, all series. I would love to see more games for. Yeah, and it would be interesting to see. I thought that Laura Bow had a lot of potential. And I still think there's a couple games that sound like they're Laura Bow-like, and I'm hoping for their success too. I actually really liked Quest for Glory 3, but I couldn't get through it when it first came out because I had that clock bucket thing.
Yeah.
And Quest for Glory 2
I had a
is
problem
my
with,
favorite,
yeah,
obviously. Says Enchantress Aziza, yes.
The same year as Quest for Glory 3, Lori worked with a team to remake Quest for Glory 1 to VGA standards. And there are a couple scenes in there that the timing, just to me, feels too tight. And I think I went back and played the original and discovered it really wasn't much better.
Oh, well.
But getting into the graveyard, you don't really have time to react and say, "Oh, I better put my undead on Gwen."
Right. Oh, and also Gabriel Knight. Yes, Gabriel Knight probably needed few more games in that series. Quest for Glory has plenty of opportunities to monetize it in a way that ActBliz could milk it. Yes. Make it so you can only play one in-game day per day. Heart health potions now cost 5 rubies each that you buy for 500 crowns that you could buy for only $5.99. It should be five. It should be $5.99 for keeping the fives there. Yes, yes. Limit the actions you can do to only a few before you get tired and need to recharge with money. So there's definitely room to turn it into a terrible experience. Exactly.
Thank you, thank you.
Aha. Yes.
The first convention which Lori and I might or might not have met, but we were both at, was the WorldCon in Phoenix, Arizona, and they had a entire basement section of one of the hotels was their gaming area, and one room of that was a charity game, in which basically you rolled up your character on standard 3 dice, the original standard for D&D. Later, everybody went to best 3 out of 4. But if you didn't like your stats, you could buy a reroll, or you could buy extra points for real money. And it was, it ran an absolute killer game, and every time your character died, you could buy a resurrection, or you could start over with a new character for free. Huh. And I think you could buy potions and stuff, and all that was basically cash that you paid, and that went to a charity.
Real money gaming, yeah.
Real money gaming that went to charity.
It was not just the modern cell phone era. Yes. My favorite flips between Quest for Glory 2 and Quest for Glory 4 constantly, except during October, obviously, yes.
I have a sense of deja vu, as though he said that exact same sentence phrased exactly the same in a previous stream.
Could be, but would be probably in October, too. Yes.
Yeah, including the line about October.
Yes. Not to poop on King's Quest, yes. Let's see. Don't you put...
Yeah, I mean, I found King's Quest frustrating, but
that's right.
They were developing Quest for Glory 4, King's Quest 4, when I first started at Sierra, and so that was one of my first projects for Atari ST conversion, and it was just a magical game with beautiful backgrounds and animation and characters and wonderful soundtrack and so on. But I went through, the first thing they did was sit me down show me the Sierra library and say you can play any of these, check out any of these games here and play them. And I played through like King's Quest 1 and 2, and they're really hard. There's a lot of things that are just mechanically difficult in the games, like going down the hillside without dying. So that's not a bad thing. I mean, people like challenge, and you get better at it, and you do gain a sense of mastery.
How is Summer Daze performing so far?
Oh, well, Summer Daze is performing almost not at all, because I've scarcely publicized it at all. Yeah. Essentially, it had been delayed so many times that we finally got a new release date from Steam. Had to put that in manually, and I said, I'm not going to miss that date now that I've had to do that. So I would have liked to have had a few more weeks on it, but our lives have been chaos for the last 3 years.
And
like
this year
people.
Has been a very chaotic year.
Yeah.
It really has been.
So it's my job to get out all the press releases and such.
So we haven't really pushed it yet.
Yeah.
In other words, that's the answer to that.
And I'm kind of intentionally doing a slow burn on it. For one thing, is by being out there, we're getting more feedback. It's allowing us to do patches and improvements.
Amazing how many bugs you find after you release the game.
Yeah. People used to joke on it that we had alpha and beta testing for a game, and they said gamma testing. That's after you release the game and real players hit it and find all the bugs. And that's what they called gamma testing.
Yeah.
So I'm really planning on doing a slow burn on the Summer Daze series, and I will be getting putting out publicity releases and getting influencers and what do they call them on Steam? Starts with a C. I can't remember the people that are basically you give a copy of the game to, and they give you a little blurb about it for their fans. So I did not try to have a massive hit at the beginning of Summer Daze.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a slower paced game. It's a more cerebral
have
game.
A long tail.
Yeah. So we think there's a big audience out there, but that it's not the sort of thing where you have to get people hyped up and excited, because if they're hyped up and excited and then they play a gentle, slow paced game that has emotional conflict but no no physical conflict, no combat, no
Yeah.
no blood and guts. That they'd probably be disappointed. So we'd rather get the hardcore fans in it first, and we've had about 1,000 copies have gone out so far via Steam of combination backers and sales.
Aziza says King's Quest VI was the only one I could solve. And Triple E Bob says Queen's Quest is the only one that I can remember. And let's see, my first Quest for Glory was actually 5 because it was the only one I could buy in Hungary. Wow. When I visited the U.S. a couple of years later, I was determined to get the collection so I could play all the others.
Oh, good for you.
Well, I'm glad you managed that, yes.
Yeah, we've heard from a few people like in Ukraine and places like that. Gaming behind the Iron Curtain.
Right.
And
There
it
were
was,
black market.
Yeah, it was, besides the fact that it was illegal to support export anything high-tech to the other side of the Iron Curtain, that people there couldn't afford it anyway.
Yeah.
So there's rampant, widespread pirating, and, if that's the only way you can experience a game, more power to them.
Right. We were just glad they got to play it, yeah. If you have a Twitter and or a Tumblr account, please let us know, and I'll gladly follow with notification. And any promo posts you put out, I'll gladly retweet, reblog them.
Well, we actually canceled our personal Twitter accounts. So the whole Elon Musk thing was just such a show that we didn't want to be part of it. So we don't have personal accounts on Twitter anymore. We do have in theory, we have a Quest for Glory account and a Summer Days game account. The problem is that we don't actually know who created the Quest for Glory account.
Oh, yeah, we don't actually.
We don't have access to it.
We don't have access to our own accounts, yes.
I think I can post in Quest for Glory, but I don't even know what the password is.
Yeah. Eden Waite says, gamma testing, I should remember that one, yes. Curators, says Belzar.
Curators, yes, curators.
Yes, curators. And Murdoctopus saying, after playing Quest for Glory 5, I'll bet you were hungry for more. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we used to have jokes along that. If
Twitter
I'll
trans
have
solar
some
games.
turkey.
Okay. Thanks, Aziza. I'll go up now and see if I'm falling. If not, we'll do so. Okay. Is Daze out for the Switch? Not yet. The Switch is coming.
That is coming out in late April to early May. Silesia Games in Poland does our ports to the Switch. And there's a little bit of a conflict right now because they've already had their build approved by Nintendo, and that's a process that takes about a month.
Yeah.
And they have their release window. So the question is, should they get the latest patches that we've done? And we would have thought that having all the audio assets loaded up front would be more of a problem than Switch. But,
so what happened
they may have already worked around that.
They
Their
may
engineers
have.
may have done it
They're
separately.
actually pretty competent.
Yeah.
We're
They've got a
very
good team
pleased
there.
with Silesia Games.
Yeah.
So yes, it will be out.
So they're effectively our Switch publisher.
Yes.
And that means they take a good share of the profits, and that's one of the cases where it's definitely beneficial to have a publisher, and in this case one with great expertise on the Switch.
Exactly. Let's see. Found out I was already following their Twitter. I just needed to turn on notification for them. Okay. Triple E Bob said, I didn't delete the account, but I deleted the app. Probably should go in.
We haven't posted anything on Transsolar Games Twitter in months.
Yeah. I only use my Twitter account to ping my reps for advocacy things. They only use Twitter. Well, that's a shame, though. I mean, we really need to find a good alternative. Yes, to be clear, by the mid-'80s to the early '90s, we did have computers in some schools, and wealthier people had them at home, too. Adventure games were less well known because, yes, most people did not understand English. Adventure games are kind of a little bit tough if you don't understand English.
Yeah, we got the problem now. We're on Smilegate Stove in South Korea for Hero U, and that's sold, like a handful of copies. And the problem is that it really needs a Korean translation.
Yes.
And with a several 100,000 word game, we haven't been able to afford that.
Not happen. Yes. I really dislike how entrenched Twitter is. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it was a fine medium until insanity took place. Yes. I only use Twitter to follow my faves and retweet things I like. I make no original content on Twitter, which is wise. And it still has, I'm sure there's still good things about it, but, we just decided it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, Oprah Winfrey loves Twitter.
Oh, okay. Does she still?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
really.
She's always saying, no, there's a tweetable moment.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're talking about the shows that have been on for 20 years.
True.
Yeah.
But even 5 years ago, she was still saying that.
Yeah. Prince of Persia was fantastic. I think that snowballed with Quest for Glory 2 and King's Quest 5 for my love of games set in the desert. Well, yeah.
I'm fond of a good dessert myself.
Yeah, really. I find it interesting the number of people who play visual novels
/ otome games, the language they don't actually speak, particularly Japanese. Apparently, it's inspired a number of people to start learning Japanese, though.
Yes.
And yeah, the anime also.
Yeah,
our son is big into. He studied Japanese in school, and
because he did do anime, watched anime, and read the books and things like that.
And he's made several trips to Japan.
Yeah.
He's also been to South Korea, so he's traveled a lot more.
Yes.
In his 30s than in his 20s and 30s.
20s and 30s, and we've
done
traveled in our
50s
entire
and 60s,
life. Yes. So, but yes, I have played quite a few of the weird visual novels, trying to get a feel for what I wanted to do with this game, because I really want it to be, a fun game that really keeps the spirit of Quest for Glory in it.
My problem as a developer and as writers of those is I have not, I'm supposed to be in charge of publicity, which is not my forte to start with. We learned it's actually pronounced fort, not forte, different words. But I just have not found good resources for talking about visual novels. You go to Steam to promote your games, and you can go to like PC Gamer and so on, but there really are not that many places that talk about visual novels. So I don't know how people find their new games.
How we're going to catch that audience. Let's see. The creator of Prince of Persia, Jordan Mechner, later made one of the finest and most underrated games, The Last Empress.
The Last Express.
Oh, The Last
Express.
Oh, that's the Express. All right, it's not an Empress.
Yeah, it's like the Orient Express.
Oh, okay.
So The Last Express, I actually worked with one of the developers on that at Accolade. My roommate. My roommate had worked with Jordan. He worked with Jordan in The Last Express.
It looked cool. I did not see the game, though, in real life. I just saw the advertisements for it. Mighty Pointy Girl says, will you guys be at any cons this year? Gen Con for me. This year, I very doubt we're going to go to anything. Not even, we usually...
But next year we may start doing it again.
This year's crazy.
Now, long before COVID was a thing, virtually every time that I went to something like a convention or a bridge tournament, I would come home and be sick for 2 months afterwards. Like the famous convention crud. I would come home with some form of flu or respiratory illness. So with COVID, couldn't even imagine going to an in-person convention. And we're not entirely out of it yet, but at least we're vaccinated now.
Right, but so
we're
not
maybe
planning
maybe
on
by
going
next
this
year we'll start going out in public again.
We can have a life again.
We had a great time at PAX West in Seattle, 2019, I think. And we actually showed the first preliminary demo of Toy's Tale there.
It was more than a demo at that point.
It was a playable.
Yeah.
It was a small portion of the game playable.
Yeah.
That's what our demo was. It was the beginning of the game.
So.
We'd like to do more of those. Mostly, actually getting a booth and showing at a convention is. We don't think it's going to be worth it.
No. But it was so much fun. PAX West was a blast, and we had all these, fans and things helped run the thing.
Yeah, we shared. Roberta Vaughn arranged for renting 2 houses through Airbnb, and we were in one of them, and had about a dozen fans there staying there. So
it was
and
an awesome experience.
and
Yes.
they all helped us run the booths.
Yeah.
Which is to say they did most of it, and we smiled and talked to people occasionally.
Yeah. Let's see. Triple E Bob said, I tried to use Chat GTP to write a sequel to Quest for Glory the other day. It was quite horrible.
Wrong prompts, human error, clearly.
Yeah, really.
I did a press release with ChatGPT, and at first I said, this is really good, it's better I could do. And then when I thought about actually sending out, I said, it's really not that good. And I tried to get ChatGPT to do some puns, and absolutely hopeless.
Yes, jokes and puns, not there yet.
Not the strength. But writing marketing copy and stuff, it's good at.
It should be good at, yes, really. But not creative stuff yet.
Still need the right prompts, though.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah.
And considering the way I struggle trying to write the slightest amount.
Oh, and I'm worse. That's why I make him do it. Yeah. Can't do publicity.
Well, you struggle in the games trying to get the dialogue exactly right.
I don't have. I mean, I don't really. I struggle. I have to set him up entirely, but I don't struggle because once I got that character in my head, I know the vocabulary. But the important thing with each scene in a game, it's tough to set up because you want the characters not to just, talk for no reason. You've got to have a meaning and a purpose for that.
So I was planning on getting a Kickstarter update to the Hero U Kickstarter backers immediately on launch of Tilly's Tale because reasons I'll get it to. And I started writing and it got totally stuck and said, well, what I've written isn't bad, but it isn't right. And I finally decided what it was missing was a good tagline. So here is my new tagline for what Summer Daze is all about. I'm going to post that in the chat. So, read a great game lately, played a great story, now's your chance. So that's what Summer Daze is trying to do.
Yep. To give you a story.
The other line I have is it's funny and charming, or it's got humor and heart, is what Tilly's Tale has.
And the humor and heart is the byword of Tilly's Tale. Not as much the humor in Ifeyo's game, because we don't have the insane
Tilly is sweet, but she's also funny.
Yes.
And she's just a person you'd like to meet.
Yes.
You'd like to have as a
She'd
friend.
be fun to be around.
She would be a fun friend.
Yes. And you'd get in trouble with her. But, other than that.
But that's okay. Afterwards, you would remember it fondly.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Belxar types.
Just a thought. I know in books they try to get positive, quote, blurbs from famous authors, particularly those known in the same genre or at large. Could that work for part of the press promos for your game, too? A lot of well-known game peeps, old Sierra alumni, and even some from LucasArts, etc. Maybe you could get some of them to give you a shout-out, even.
I feel like we're all big fish in a little pond. But, Roberta Williams is famous among people like the ones who are on our stream, but most people have never heard of her. Most people don't know who Ken Williams
is always good.
Yeah.
Shout-outs is always good. And we have got quite a few interesting shout-outs for Road to Redemption and things like that.
Yeah, Zara Fuzzle plays the voice of Tilly, and she had some very nice things to say about her Quest for Glory and her other games. So, she's a gamer. And a wonderfully talented voice actress. She could have played every female role and a lot of the male roles in Tilly's Tale if we only wanted to use a single actress.
Yeah, I know. She would have been great as Satari. She would have been able to nail that voice. But
we have a really good one. I like all of our voices in the game. I think they really add to it. I am so happy that we were able to get.
That you bit the bullet and paid for it, and paid for those things.
I just it's weird. Money is kind of weird to us. That like most people, we don't really understand the meaning of money, and it's just basically if you find it when you need it, because maybe that's a very entitled viewpoint.
It doesn't happen very often.
But I just decided that we had to spend that money. That it wouldn't be right.
And it was a good choice.
And whether it was a good choice in making money,
No.
that's not what
But
we're
it's
after.
yes, we're out there to make the best game we can.
Exactly. And if we're proud of the games we make, then eventually that should result in some money coming in, and sometimes it does.
Brainiac says, yep, I expect to see Zara at Convergence in 2024 for different reasons, but I will definitely top her ear off about Summer Days. Yes.
I think she'll be very enthusiastic about the process of that.
They obviously our music, our voice director was Ron. I'm going to say Gilbert.
Dave Gilbert.
Dave Gilbert.
Yeah.
Dave Gilbert was our voice director, and you know he had a great time recording these voices, and the actors had a great time doing it. And Zara really loved doing it.
Yeah, they had a couple places where they had to pause because the voice actor read the line they were about to read and started cracking up.
Yes, so they enjoyed it. They had fun doing it, and that makes all the difference in the world. It really.
And Dave Gilbert, of course, is the founder of Wajidai Games.
Yeah.
And did Unavowed. Their latest one is they're published. He didn't actually write it, but it's something of Hobbs. Hobbs. Hello. Oh no, I can't remember it.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's a game that has cats as an important part of it. Hobbs Barrel, I think.
Hobbs Barrel. Yeah. Okay. Fine. All right. I know that in the visual novel and anime worlds, voice actors can have a large following. Yes, maybe you can get the voice actors in your game to give you a shout out too. That would be nice. Yes. I know he's had to say
Dave
no
Gilbert.
relation to Ron several times. I know, and I just go, which one is it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's Dave Grossman. There are 2 or 3 Dave Grossmans in the game industry, and so they always have to. The one calls himself that Dave Grossman.
Yes, I played all the Blackwell games and enjoyed them all. Good. We actually played one of them.
Yeah, we played one of the ones.
Which we enjoyed, actually.
Yeah.
It was really very interesting, yes.
I
And
think it was Blackwell Legacy.
Dr. McKiller says, I really have enjoyed a couple of Tilly Tales playthroughs so far. Have you thought of implementing Steam achievements? Yes.
They were there now. They were there.
We did them on Friday.
And we stealthily snuck in Steam achievements because they were planned for all along, and we already had all the icons.
We had all
and
the icons. We had it all ready, but it did not get put in.
I haven't looked at them, so I don't know if they're right, but Philip tested them.
Yes, and and they will cue you to what you missed in the game. Because you can actually, if you're really good at it, you can kick Tilly out of school. But you have to go out of your way for it.
It's hard.
It's hard.
So if we went to I have a Steam icon here somewhere there.
Okay.
I'm wondering if we go to their page if it'll show us Summer Days. Summer Days. Summer Days Tilly's Tale.
You could show the screen if you were doing this, yeah.
Doop.
Yeah.
SD desktop. So let's go work this out together. Conversation chooser. I did not check the box for Steam achievements originally. Oh, here we go. Includes 14 Steam achievements.
View all 14. There we go.
So best fest. You went above and beyond to decorate for the festival.
4% people have gotten that.
4% have managed that.
Wow.
2.2% are Rogue of the Year.
Okay.
I think that's actually and throw the best festival in the same playthrough. So that's a subset of that.
Yeah.
Passed all the Rogue class exams. 2% have managed that. Now, of course, most of these are low numbers because people just haven't had that much time with the game yet.
Because they got it yesterday that they have these achievements.
That's true.
So,
well, I think they're retrofitted, though.
Maybe.
I think if you load a save game.
I don't know that they can be. So these are all since yesterday. So that's what.
Adventuring with Muella.
There, 0.5% got kicked out of school.
Okay, so it is possible.
Yeah,
so that kind of Mr. Turk.
Yes, Turk had something to do with helping you get kicked out of school. Can you actually click on those?
No.
You can't.
0.2% have managed, been there, did it all. You've seen every character's finale.
Wow.
That's multiple playthroughs.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yes, I'll have to start all over again. Let's see.
Well, mine is collecting pets in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Lori did that first, and I Lori played World of Warcraft first because I assiduously avoided it for a year. and did not attempt to play
Yeah,
the beta or the early part.
the collecting pets in World of Warcraft is Pokemon. It's Pokemon World of Warcraft.
And part of it. And then other parts are huge puzzle sequences that are really challenging to get the pets. And some that are just luck.
Yeah.
That you get them as drops from different things.
Right.
So I've got some of the pets because I do raiding, and so you get pets out of the raids.
And
I think didn't I have to go? Wasn't I supposed to go back into Queen Ashara's dungeon in order to get one?
I don't know. Probably,
I think I'm still missing one.
I might be missing one from that one, but yeah.
We should go do that together.
Really. All right. Let's see. I always love it when I get an achievement. It's like 0.8% people have unlocked this achievement. Like the no crunch achievement in Frostpunk. Yeah, you figure I'm one of those unique people that managed to do this. Yes, this will give me achievements to hunt between my rounds of hunting them in Civ. Ah, yeah.
Is this game relevant to you? 29 hours played. That was mostly in beta versions.
Ah, well.
Hero U.
Road to Redemption.
Look at all these different versions.
Oh, yeah, all these different prices. Oh, that was
those are demos of the soundtrack.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Steam achievements, there are 20 Steam achievements in Hero U, and 81% have gotten Studious. All you have to do to get Studious is solve the opening room, which is a strongly puzzle-oriented room, and make it into the university. So if you made it into the body of the game, 81% have actually made it past the first room of the game.
Ah, yeah.
But down at the bottom is Perfect Prowler. Completed the game without killing anything, 0.9%. So that's the really challenging one.
Yeah, clearly. Bad to the bone. You get enemies.
1.1% for defeated every boss in combat. That's because they're non-combat solutions to several of them.
Yeah.
And we had some bugs for a while that might have kept people playing early from doing it.
6% got the goody two-shoes. Cool.
Played the Paladin by helping everyone with their personal quests.
And statistician raised at least 5 stats to 100. Yeah.
Okay, 7.2% have done that. So these are kind of fun.
Yes. If there had been achievements for Quest for Glory 1, I would have probably gotten, you have found every way to die, and you have maxed out every skill with one character. That would have been great. I like the achievement system. I think it's great.
Things on finding every way to die, there's always, you get like 19 deaths, and you're just missing that 20th one. And where the heck is it? How do I do that?
Yeah, just like you in Adventure the first time.
One of the romance stories, True Love, found true love and gave a one and only ring to your lover. Sweetheart should have been. Lover sounds, like sex and stuff. But one of the ones, Esme, Katie... is it Katie? No. One of the love relationships is really hard to get.
Oh, Aeolus is one of the hardest.
Well, yeah, but... Aeolus, because in order to get Aeolus, you have to first break up his relationship with his girlfriend.
Yeah, but you have to actually, yes. You have to intercede with him and help him have relationships with all the other girls, too.
Yes, before he'll finally come around to you.
Yeah. Let's see.
Did we have to redo all the artwork from Hero U to Daze? Yes, they're completely different games. There was no artwork in common.
No. Design characters, no, not really. Yeah.
And I thought when we planned it out that we were going to have the same cast of characters and the same scenes for Summer Days Tilly's Tale and Summer Days Ifeyo's Adventure. But when Lori got around to plotting it, she decided that
you can't have them. I mean, because you're just playing the same game twice. So you have to actually have a different cast of characters for every game in this.
So that was about the point we split them into 2 games instead of putting them in 1 game.
Yeah, so they are very different games.
I originally pictured it as they're just 2 different paths.
They were 2 different paths to the thing, and you could go to any student, but it just wasn't working out. I mean, I had to do what was best for the game.
15% have helped all the ghosts.
Ah, well.
That's pretty good.
That is really well, huh?
As many as got teacher's pet, best friends with Professor Game
Gerard. Master, 6% have beat Soci at billiards.
Katie at darts, Esme at cards, won at least 1 game of Poobah, and reached at least 50 luck in 75 gaming.
That's pretty good. So, yeah. These are all.
So they're fun ways to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Summer Days, it's its own thing. And Summer Days, of course, is all flat art. Is there any 3D in it at all?
No 3D.
There were some 3D models that got flattened out in 2D afterwards because it was a good way for JP to visualize them. But yeah, it's really, I think of Summer Days as a playable storybook. Mm-hmm. It's an illustrated storybook that you are playing through on the computer, and the computer allows you to
choose your own adventure, but it's not as adventurous as some of those books.
Yeah,
because it does come down to the story.
I'm remembering like Fighting Fantasy in those, and Tunnels and Trolls were the choose your own adventure style games in which you constantly lost.
Yes,
you constantly got your character killed. They were killer.
Just like adventure games, it's easier to kill off the character than to continue a story along a different plot line. Parallel plot lines are very tough to do, and these meta worlds are tough to keep together.
Yeah, one of the things I started realizing, I guess I can go back to full screen.
Full screen, because you don't need to show us.
Yeah. One of the things I started realizing about sports is, everybody talks about sports, there's the winner and the, you only care about winners. You don't care about second place and so on. And realizing how close they really are. Like baseball, I followed for years. And a great baseball team is one that wins like 60% of its games. So they lose an awful lot of games. Great tennis players, there are a few absolutely dominant tennis players like Serena and Williams and Venus for a while, and then the big three on the men's side. But even those, every given match, they have maybe a 70% chance of winning, and that's way better than anyone else. But if you've got a 70% chance of winning a match, and you've got to win 6 matches to win a tournament, it's pretty amazing that you still actually manage to win it, even if it's 90%. Those 10% chances really accumulate.
What sort of narrative design tool do you use? I've been playing with
Arctic Draft.
Okay. And I think it would work really well for managing branching.
Actually, I was contacted by Arctic, and they were trying to convince me to use their tools, and I thought about it, but we just never got around to it. But we have our own tool. We had one developed at Sierra Forest that we actually did two versions of for the earlier games and later ones. But Mark Wilden did the original one for Quest for Glory 2 that is kind of like a structured spreadsheet that lets you put in the text and then say, okay, here's the the actor, the verb, and so on that leads to this result, and and this and flags, and we customize it for what we're doing. And then for the Hero U series, Rob, can't remember his last name, of course, developed a thing called Composer. So that's a custom tool that we use, and I could probably maybe have that working.
Mine's working, so yours should be.
Curse for Twitch.
Where is it on your thing? Now there. No,
GitHub Composer shortcut.
Oh, okay, there. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is the.
Do you have this set up?
This is the Composer tool. So if I went into say Road Redemption,
then this is our program.
Now this loading time. You have to remember that this is on an SSD. When we had this on hard drives originally,
I don't think it's connected personally.
It's probably not working.
It's not working. But
it might have crashed. Yeah.
Because it came back out. It came up.
Oh yeah, it came up. Okay.
It came up.
Yeah, just saying, that was the amount of time to load on an SSD. So as the games get bigger and more complicated, so
there it says. Yeah.
Road Redemption had 2,783 scripts, 2,431 props, which are objects in the rooms. 90 actors, 93 scenes, and so on. And you can go through and...
go to a scene.
Let's make this guy make it full screen.
You can.
All right, so we go to scenes, and then you can say, okay, give me the Great Hall. Actually, Hall of Heroes would have been a better one. Let's go to the Hall. Didn't want to change it. Let's say a dining hall.
Oh, that's a complicated one.
Okay,
Let's
so
go to
dining hall, we go to scripts, and these are all the scripts of things that happen in the dining hall. So you have the different interaction with the fataya, and then you theoretically, let's see, I think we actually, we did a separate scene. We originally had the mealtime scripts in there. We ended up going to dinner time and making that a different category.
Yeah, that has all the scripts from the
and that has all the
characters,
ones for talking to characters. So like Katie in the Sea Cave, Dining Hall Conversation, day 25. And that's a relatively short script.
That's because it's called...
Nothing happens that day.
No, because it invokes another script.
Begin Dining Hall.
Yes. It just
Sean
sets
alone,
up.
happy vignette. Well, that's just a
Yeah.
small one. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is nobody's here today. The good news, there's a lot of food to eat.
Okay, so yeah.
So I chose a really
You're
terrible.
really terrible. You go first.
Leningrats.
Yeah, that's a minor one too.
Yeah, it's a minor one, but anyway, so each of these, basically is Lori came up with the idea for Quest for Glory, what she calls the events, and so in the original Sierra games, basically each room was effectively a scene,
And an event.
and pretty much got used once.
Yeah.
Whereas in Quest for Glory, we had each scene got used maybe 10 or 15 times. Different days of the game, and we had different dialogue and so on in it.
So yeah, the dining hall has 50 days worth of scripts, practically 49 scripts for events, so that every day you had a different event.
So the infirmary, that'll be a lot simpler,
Mm-hmm.
but still not very simple.
Yeah, that includes interact. It has
Yeah,
all the
okay,
scripts
so the
for
interact,
interacting
yeah,
with
so
objects.
What happens if you interact on the hanging plant, and then you have your menu options, look at the plant, steal the plant, search the plant, and so on. So I could go in and hit the edit button, and that would break this down, and then I could say, add a statement, or I could open up this menu and say, insert menu item. I think. Would that work?
Yeah, I would have if you'd...
Insert menu. Oh, I had to
Yeah, so
something.
you have to go, yeah.
Insert menu item after, and now I could have a jump up and down.
No, it's with the plant. You're interacting
plant.
with the plant. Yeah, jump
Yeah.
up and down on the plant. Okay,
Jump
fine.
up and down on the plant.
So, yeah.
Or jump on the plant. And then you could say, okay, this has conditions, edit conditions. So you can say you can only jump on that if your
Climbing.
climbing stat
is greater than...
is greater than 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could put a condition on it. Yeah. So this is how we do.
This doesn't even appear in the menu unless you have at least 30 climbing skill.
All right, set the yes. So this is how we go through with every object in the game. Every object has one of these scripts.
And then you can and then we have a series of statements. So like we have your basic branch, if else.
Yeah.
So you can say insert after, and we can do speak.
Yeah. So if you
another
have
branch.
not searched if you have searched the plant, you get one response. If you have not searched the plant, you get a different one.
So in other words, if the first time you're searching it, then we set a tag. Hanging plant is set to search plant.
And why we do that is in case there's an object in a plant,
and this is object oriented. We so search plant is actually a member variable of the object hanging plant. So we could have a searched plant tag for every object in the game. We don't, of course. And we can call it anything we want.
So yeah, this is how we sit there and design out a game. I mean, work on a game. This is the meat and potatoes
Do not
of
say
putting
that.
a game to get to life.
Interact with Moira's desk. So the question is, search the desk. If Moira is present, Sean says, that seems a little shifty even for me. Shifty Sean McShifty O'Connor. I think I'll give it a try when Moira's not here.
Yes, and this stuff was written
And
by
you'll
Josh
notice this little
Mandel.
link here that says voice clip. Well, obviously we didn't have any voice acting in Hero U Rogue to Redemption, but we put in the capability for it because this same composer tool is used for Summer Days.
And so yeah, we actually have the voice clip then in Summer Days. In this version of it, you could actually play the music though. You can add the music to the room and you could play it in Composer, but you can't anymore. So it got
So if I load Tilly,
stripped out. Yeah.
We have an entire different project with only 26 scenes, but there's still 213 scripts.
Yes.
So, in a sense, we simplified this because we don't allow you to walk your little tiny figure walking around. So we have a little more control over it. So practice field, scripts. So practice field is entirely, the only one you meet there is Muella, and each interaction, and these are numbered 1 through 8 and so on, but they're not necessarily on a day. It is each time that you interact.
They're arbitrary names.
Yeah. But you advance the script each time. So all of these, Tilly, neutral, Muella. Okay, so here's one voice clip, Muel 256.wave. So these are all tied in. So if I were to edit this and go to one of these and say
There's
edit.
a couple of them that don't actually have the wave file.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Associated.
It's all the Tillys aren't listed for some reason.
Okay, but Muella's are. Okay, that's interesting.
That's kind of probably a bug somewhere.
Probably. It's just
anyway, so Muella, what expression did you have? Happy, sad, angry, neutral, boggled, gloating, singing, laughing, etc. Is it the default, which is normal dialogue, or is it interior monologue? So if someone is just kind of making a comment themselves and no one is around to hear, then we use a different font, I believe.
You don't use a talker. Yes,
yeah.
yes. Beach day, yeah.
So then the text that Lori types in, I've never had a friend before you, friend Tilly. It is a nice thing to have a friend. And then I keep reading this as model, but it's Muel.
I know, I read it as model too, especially from here.
And then translation notes, if we were making a Korean version of this, then we would put something in translation notes to tell them that this is a pun, and here's what the wordplay is about, and stuff exactly. Like that. In practice, we didn't get around to putting in most of the translation notes, but we have the capability of building a composer. Who she's talking to. Tilly is the listener, has a surprised expression.
Who wouldn't want to be Muella's friend? Exactly.
Exactly.
I love Muella. And she tries to actually do puns, which she's never done in her life. Yes.
And Tilly wants her to be humorous. And says, oh, I get it. That's a joke.
Yes. How do you moo? How do you do, moo? Yes.
I am fine in the sunshine, friend Tilly.
So she tries.
Hey, I can do a female Minotaur.
Yes, you can, because their
sound a whole lot like a male.
So that's our composer.
So this is the tool we use, and this was developed to Lori's spec, and to my spec, and then constantly had features added to it.
And so it's very complicated. It's a programming language.
The way I originally pictured this was that all the dialogues would be constructed, and that you could say add this to the menu choices. On the fly as you're going through the game, and that turned out to be impractical. So what we did instead was we had the conditional menu items that only appear if the conditions are met.
Yes, and it means that it allows me as the designer to have complicated scripts because I'm the one that can. I don't have to describe what this stuff is and what you need to do it. I actually can put it down in programming right away. And
now, despite the fact that Lori has a picture of everything in the game, she still makes a lot of mistakes with that. When she's doing tags, she might call something, talk to Muella, and then later on have Muella talked and not realize that...
Right, that I've switched the name of the tag and things like that. There is it gives you a lot of abilities to have bugs.
There's a lot of testing and debugging work to be done to do that. And Road to Redemption was worse because, as I mentioned, that everything was object-oriented. And so the question is, who is that tag, or what is that tag attached to? Is it attached to the scene? Is it attached to the actor? Is it attached to Sean? Is it attached to an object in the scene? And so our lead programmer, Sydney, on Summer Days series mandated that everything is going to be global from now on. So she got rid of the, to me, I'm an object-oriented program. That all makes sense to me. I want it to be a simulation. But she wanted to make it simpler so it would have fewer errors.
Right. So we have a slightly different version of Composer.
And Sydney wanted to make this public domain, and we actually have no problem with making Composer public domain, but we just figured it's so special purpose that we wouldn't want to support it.
Right. If somebody wanted to actually, take it on as a project, but the problem with keeping it public domain is trying to keep it so that people can use it.
And for Hero U, we had a custom runtime code under Unity that basically was the interpreter and handled all those commands in Composer. But for Summer Daze, Sydney had to switch to Ink from Inkle, the Ink scripting language. So basically, this is just a visual way of doing Ink scripts.
Yep. At any rate, that's our
talk for today.
Talk to today. Yes,
we have magically made it to precisely ending time. How about that?
Amazing. Yes.
2:00 to 4:30. And thanks everyone for coming.
Yes, we really appreciate you guys showing up for us.
If you don't own Tilly's Tale yet, you ought to get it.
Thank you for another interesting, engaging stream. Thank you very much.
Put on some links.
Let's see.
So on Steam, you can find Summer Daze on Steam here. And you can find it on itch.io here.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Sorry it's been so long since I've come. Well, we all have lives, and I'm just glad to have you here. Yeah.
And
glad to see you all.
Yeah, and we're working on Ifeyo's Adventure, so we hardly did talk about Ifeyo's Adventure, hardly at all. We said what it is, but we didn't really actually show any of the scenes.
No, we didn't. And we'll as we go along. I won't want to bore them, but the scenes for Ifeyo's game are really awesome too.
At the risk of redundancy, because we have a black character, but Ifeyo's Adventure is a darker story.
Slightly. Sammy's good dark. Sammy's gets really serious.
He's a warrior, and he's got to do his warrioring.
Sammy, that is, yes.
Sammy, yes.
Yes. I'm sure we'll hear a lot about Ifeyo soon enough, and we will show it. Because it's going to be a while before.
We're trying to get it done in.
I want it out next year.
She wants it out next year.
So that means the voice has to be done this year.
Yeah, so she wants to get all the writing done in 6 months, and we will try to do that. And it's just the only reason I say try instead of we'll do that is my track record hasn't been so good over the last two games.
And there have been a lot of distractions in our lives. So yeah. But we will. We'll show you a lot more about Ifeyo as the time goes on. We'll show you some of the things, like his opening cartoon and that. And yeah. And hi, Barry. You're here just to say goodbye. Yeah.
Hey, my brother's named Barry, so hi, Barry is sort of like hi, Barry.
Well.
But not much.
Not much. Yes.
Yeah.
Warriors have it easy. Hit door, hit guard.
Oh, I was going to say Castle Dr. Brain. Yes. Castle Dr. Brain, we actually released a month ahead of schedule. I was so proud of that. And
that's one time only affair, yeah.
And we were close with all the Quest for Glory games until 5. 5 was way over budget and way late. Yeah. But it gets harder. And the fact that we're doing these all on shoestring budgets, that we're doing multi-million-dollar games for under $1 million.
Castle of Dr. Braun. Okay, yeah.
Braun, Dr. Braun.
Yeah.
He's strong, Doctor.
Yes.
That probably sounds like steroids, though, so I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get into that.
Yeah. Finished my first playthrough of Summer Daze. I made no friends, did poorly at school, and no one helped me. 10 out of 10. Realism.
That was my first playthrough, too. The game is, and we're learning from that as we go along. But Lori designed the game with the idea that you would specialize on building up a friendship with 1 or 2 characters, and they would help you at the end. And but most of us, with our fear of missing out, are dilettantes and go meet everybody.
So it's easy to not get through the game.
First time through, it's very unlikely that you'll you'll complete the festival
I
with.
got
with
Island
Daze.
for my birthday when it first came out and played it all night. Oh, yeah, we did. We played games like that.
I was, of course, totally frustrated with Island because I wanted to design that, and Sarah basically didn't want to pay me for it.
Yep.
And they didn't even want to give me the time to work on it. They had me out on another project and wanted me to spend all my evenings and weekends designing it for almost nothing and flat fee. And I said, I got a life. I have a child. I can't do that.
Yep. Summer Daze sounds like it'll be such a nice, relaxing game. Yeah, it does sound like it. Yeah.
It is
10
except
out of 10
until,
for losing the game. Yeah.
until the FOMO hits you.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Have fun and play Tilly's Tale and
Happy
tell
Easter.
everyone you know
Yes.
to go out and get Summer Daze Tilly's Tale.
Bye-bye.
That's how we make more games with lots of people buying it. Thanks. Oh, I need to say end stream.
You do.